What, you get paid?
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are, and welcome to NerdTube. We are here to talk Dark Side of the Ring, Season 3, Episode 12, I believe. Yeah? Okay, so far so good. The Many Faces of Luna Vachon. I have a large cast of NerdTubers here with me today. First of all, we have Bam Bam Shedalo. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing great. Thanks very much, Sam. This was fairly it was a decent episode. A lot of heavy stuff to cover, which we'll get into, but glad to be here.
Fantastic. Also joining us, one of my usual partners in crime now, Mad Dog Gary. How you doing, Gary? Excellent. Also, we got with us today, $1 Million Dixie. How you doing, mate?
Doing great. What's up, Sam?
Thank you very much. Yeah, by the way, that I need to get some of that Arkansas sausage you talked to me about.
Oh, and you like it?
I need to find some first. I'm in London, mate. You know what I mean?
Anyway, that's what she
said. And finally, last but not least, we also have DOZ 101. How you doing, mate?
Good, man. Thanks for having me. I always enjoy these discussions with you guys. It's always fun to do stuff like this. But overall, it was a pretty sad episode. But there's some things that, I didn't know, but it was interesting to hear about Luna's life and all the things that she went through.
Okay, now, before we start breaking it down, I just want to quickly say to you that I personally didn't find this the most intriguing episode. Yeah, sometimes some of the stuff we've come across in Dark Side of the Ring, it's amazing what some of these wrestlers have done. They fucking murdered people. They robbed fucking banks. They work for the fucking mafia.
They blew up police stations.
Yeah, blow up police stations. All that. I think there was and obviously with nearly every episode, drugs are always involved at some particular point. I mean, she was from an era where they were fucking, shooting up and fucking doing all types of drugs, whether it be performance enhancing or recreational. So, considering what she went through in her life and not being part of a family, which is also a common thing for wrestlers, never seeing their children grow up and shit like that, I was a little bit, and I don't want to say disappointed because that would be a disservice to the life Luna lived. But considering what we've seen in Dark Side of the Ring, this seemed kind of mild by comparison. I don't know if you guys can go with me on that. I'll ask you first of all, Shredder.
No, I wouldn't actually use the term mild. I would say this one wasn't as explosive as we've had from so many previous episodes of Dark Side of the Ring. I would compare this, if anything, I would compare this more to, I want to say the final days of Owen Hart, and the fact that this was more just an absolute tragedy of a life to hear about. I mean, it seemed. Sorry, not really Owen Hart, but maybe even say Chris Kanyon. This was more tragedy, heartache, mental illness. This is more of a discussion about the background and the issues that Luna or Gertrude, give her a real name, was suffering from throughout her entire life and her career, and unfortunately, what brought about her tragic and early demise, at such a young age.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree, actually, when you mention it like that. There were some elements in this particular episode that did remind me of the past. I'll get to that a little bit later. Gary, what did you think of this episode overall?
I really liked it because I'd seen Luna in different stuff, and she was always captivated. But again, as Shredder just said, the stuff about it that I didn't know. I didn't know that she was trained by Mueller. I didn't know that all this horrible stuff had happened to her. That she had a very tumultuous upbringing and stuff like that. And I don't get it. It was really sad just to see, but I felt that there's a lot of good that came out of it. She got that there's obviously people in her life that actually did care for her. You could hear from. I mean, again, we're going to get into this in the review. Gangrel obviously still has feelings for her. You can hear it in his voice. You can hear it with what he said. It gives a sense she said get back together. I wanted to, but I knew that the way she was, wasn't. I was just you can actually hear the sadness in his voice and stuff like that. It was really emotional.
Yeah, Dixie.
I had to watch the episode twice because it was good. It's one of those stories that's, and yeah, this is about a real life person and stuff like that. But still, it's one of those stories that you can't write really. Especially the ending. I mean, I did like the send off they gave her as far as like the funeral bride or whatever I think it was. But yeah, it was just a really good one. It was a tearjerker. It even brought a tear to my undead eyes.
Yeah, it was in the sad, like a very sad episode of somebody not necessarily being able to achieve what they wanted to achieve. They were in a different era of wrestling, you know, and all of that, which is kind of sad. But you know, Luna, if she was around today, she'd be thriving. Jose, what you got to say?
I think that it was definitely a sad episode, and you know, it just goes to show. Whenever we talk about stuff like this, I always have to state, you know, for those of you out there that may be struggling, always, always, always know that you're not alone in this world. You matter. You're important. I think that just needs to be stated, because all Luna wanted was to be loved and to be accepted and to just wrestle and be the women's champion. That was ultimately her dream, and she didn't have that. And like Mick Foley said toward the end of the episode, during the 2016 era, she would have been thriving. She would have been, I think, the top heel of the women's division, because she got to be herself. She would have got to work. She would have got to do all these amazing things, but she never had that. At the most, she was relegated to a manager until the Attitude Era kind of got started, which we'll get into. But yeah, it was just a heartbreaker.
Well, this is the one thing I do maybe have somewhat of an issue with. Would she be thriving in 2016? Because remember, we are talking about somebody like Luna who unfortunately did have not just serious mental health issues, but also drug addiction issues as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they would have popped her for definitely for the drug abuse policy or whatever.
She would have probably got, I don't know if she would have lasted. Like maybe
She might not have gone down that path regarding the self-medication.
I don't know, man.
Well,
you know,
the thing you also got to remember too is that there's sometimes in life there's people that you can help and there's people that you can't, you know. And Luna was one of those where it's like, no matter how hard you may try, in some cases people just won't hear you out for that sort of thing. You could go to them and say, yeah, hey, you got a problem, but they would have to want to, you know, fix themselves and get the help that they need.
Oh, absolutely. But you also need to take into consideration as well, nobody ever chooses to be a drug addict.
Yeah, okay? It happens over time.
It does happen. And unfortunately, again, when you do have mental health issues like what Luna Vachon had, it's not... Gary, can you please turn your microphone off while you're crumpling wrappers, please? But anyway, Luna Vachon had those kind of mental health issues. On top of that, they also discussed other aspects of her life that more than likely would have caused her to go down that path of self-medication. So instances with her training with Moolah, the fact that her father killed himself at the age of 4, you know, when she was just 4 years old.
Shit like that stays with
supposedly being allegedly, and we do have to emphasize this was allegedly, because other members of her family are still alive. Members of the Vachon family sexually molesting her.
That was never brought up in the.
It was
really.
Yes, Gangrel mentioned it. The fact that she mentioned that she had apparently been molested by members of her family. Her former tag partner even said it was her aunt that apparently did it.
Yeah.
Oh, the one she looked up to.
Yes.
Fucking hell.
Oh, that would have been heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I just want to bring up the early part of this episode where what was the name of her stepfather, the guy with the gravelly voice, the butcher, Paul the Butcher Vachon. Yeah, he mentions how he was in his hotel room, and then apparently, allegedly, Luna's dad shot himself. I mean, they really blew over this. You know, like they really. But this is like, oh, what the fuck? I think it was. There's something here, and you guys are just going through this like
they glossed over it like it was nothing. It was like you could have taken 5 to 10 minutes to talk about that, because that's some pretty fucked up shit.
Although in their defense, who else is there to actually talk about it? Who's
No,
still alive that would have been
I agree,
there?
but
you also only have an hour to cover everything. You can't cover everything at the same time. So,
but that's some bizarre shit. Like, you know, he this woman says that her husband shoots herself, and then fucking Paul the Butcher ends up fucking marrying this woman. You know, it's like, what? Like, did you not kill her yourself? I mean, for we know, he could have fucking killed that geezer. You know, just so you could end up marrying what's her face.
No, I think Luna had stated this in the past that her biological father shot himself, but the only father figure she really knew was Paul Vachon.
Well, she was only 4 years old as well, so she might not know shit.
She might have remembered a little bit. I mean, from the age of 4.
Fair enough. It just seems very like you said, it was very glossed over. And
but again, apart from Paul Vachon, who else is really around to go into any kind of detail with that story?
Yeah, I know, I agree. Yep. I agree. Still, I can't help but feel
like there's more to it.
I need some fucking answers. You know what I mean? But all right, fine. So
trying to get his Matlock on.
Exactly, dude. You know. Anyway, she marries. Because of this guy Paul, she ends up in the Vachon family, where she's infatuated by what the Vachons do. You know, they're all wrestlers. Her stepdad's a wrestler, her uncle's a wrestler, her auntie's a wrestler, her cousins, I believe, are wrestlers. They're all fucking wrestlers, and she ends up being she ends up idolizing her auntie, who's a female wrestler. She came across quite well. In her performances, the auntie, until I found out, obviously, what a horrible human being she is. But that's who she wanted to be. She mentioned how she would tie up her hair and stuff like that, and that was her ambitions. But because of of her appearance at a young age, she was apparently supposed to be a babyface. She was put into the Fabulous Moolah school, and we all know about the Fabulous Moolah. There is an episode of Dark Side of the Ring, basically exposing Moolah for the
horrible bitch she was.
Well, she's basically a pimp.
Pretty much.
Yeah, she was basically a fucking pimp, and she did that pimping out on Vachon as well by taking her sending her to a photographer who ended up trying to rape her. I mean, Vachon is fortunate to be such a strong girl, be a wrestler in a way, being able to physically take care of herself. But I'm pretty sure she beat the fuck out of that guy. But she was only 16 at the time, and this is what you had to deal with Luna. With Fabulous Moolah. But we found that information from other female wrestlers as well. What was the name of that tall lady who was 6'2"?
Oh god.
Oh man, drawing a blank.
I don't know what you mean.
No, yeah, we all know who we're talking about, but Luna was inspired by her too, because she copied her mohawk look, because she did the mohawk and so on.
Mad Maxine?
Yeah, Mad Maxine.
Mad Maxine, and then and then we had the other lady, something Beautiful Betty or some shit like that.
Penelope Paladar, or whatever it was.
Penelope Pitstop, yeah, and and so there were certain people that influenced her and she worked with during that particular period, but she never wanted to be a babyface. She wanted to be a heel her entire career, which is absolutely fascinating. And she was never a babyface, was she? Did she ever play face?
She was.
Really?
When she was with the Oddities during the Attitude Era.
Oh yeah,
the time that she was a babyface.
I can vaguely remember that.
Very short-lived babyface turn.
Yeah, very short-lived, and we'll get into why later on, because that has a lot to do with Sable and Vince and all that kind of bullshit.
And her time in ECW, she was embraced as a babyface.
Yeah. I can see that actually, but people appreciate her for being a technician. So for sure. Now, unfortunately, during her period of being a female wrestler, there wasn't many opportunities for women wrestlers within the WWE. That is. I'm trying to remember actually some of the episodes. Maybe you guys can help me a little bit from where we are.
So she starts off in I think it's the UWF, I think, in the
Florida.
In Florida, yeah. So she starts off. I think she's like a reporter or something. Like that.
She was like an interviewer, a reporter, and then
Yes, I remember with Kevin Sullivan.
The angle was she came in as a reporter to present an award, and she got attacked by Kevin Sullivan, who then basically mindfucked her.
Yeah, Florida was legit scared of Kevin Sullivan too.
Yeah.
Back then.
Harley Quinn did before Harley Quinn became a thing.
Yeah, because Kevin Sullivan was doing this whole gimmick that he was a Satan worshipper. He was able to control the minds of people, put curses on them. You know, this was groundbreaking stuff at the time. I mean, we can look back at it and laugh nowadays, but at the time, people bought this stuff.
Oh yeah, back then you were
know anything about Satan worship. They didn't know anything about the kind of thing Kevin Sullivan was doing.
Oh yeah, back then you lived your gimmick. That was the general rule in wrestling. If you're going to be this, you got to be this character. You can never break character. That was the taboo thing back then. But nowadays, you look back at it and you go, "Yeah, you can't believe any of this shit."
But what was a common thing though amongst a lot of period during the kayfabe eras of wrestling is that because they ended up living their gimmick, they almost got lost in their gimmick.
Oh yeah, man, that actually, ironically, that actually happened to Mad Dog. If you guys look up like the career of Maurice Vachon, he lost himself in being Mad Dog. He became Mad Dog, and that I don't know if it's a common thing so much now because there is no kayfabe anymore. Or there's very little kayfabe. But there have been instances where guys will become that television character, and they never quite grow out of it.
Yeah, for sure. Even Kevin Sutherland now. You look at him now, the guy looks like a fucking pensioner, and he's still got fucking paint under his eyeballs and shit like that. He looks absolutely fucking ridiculous, in my opinion.
It's just unfortunate that Sullivan's gimmick. Unfortunately, some people couldn't differentiate between Sullivan the person and Sullivan the gimmick, and that's why you had a bunch of fruitcakes right after Chris Benoit killed his wife, kid, and himself.
Sullivan did
actually accusing Sullivan of doing it.
Yep.
Yeah. And I know it's funny because Nancy Benoit was briefly mentioned in this, but they never went back down that road again, but they already covered it, obviously, with the Benoit video.
She was mentioned twice, but I mean, she wasn't exactly pivotal to this story that they were telling.
Yeah. So we get to see like Luna become Luna Vachon. Like she starts shaving her head. I mean, some of the artwork around her face was brilliantly done. It did look like her veins were sticking out. You know.
Yeah, you have to give the props to the makeup artist who did that.
Yep. And also her voice
also shown up very effectively for some people at home because not everybody would have had color televisions in those days.
No, actually, let me see.
Forget.
That was 80. She
83.
debuted 83, yeah, because color TV it was.
Color TV was around, but there was still a lot of people who were watching it in black and white.
Like it was kind of new. It was kind of new, but it wasn't. If it makes sense, like it was kind of still new, but it wasn't. Yeah.
Well, nevertheless, she was creating her gimmick. She was a crazy fucking bitch. Had a mohawk. Had amazing face paint on her that almost looked like it was coming out of her skin. She had a gravelly voice as well. That voice, my God, she sounded like she was smoking 50 a day. But it worked. It worked a dream. Go on, boss man.
I was going to say, I've read before that she actually ripped vocal cords legit by doing that. I can't really do it, but we do that voice. It's like, yeah.
She mentions that in the actual episode. They have the audio where she's talking about the fact that she's destroyed her vocal cords by growling all the time to where she doesn't sound like a woman anymore.
Yep. Singers do that shit too, because especially like the heavy metal people, like if you hear them and they're like, if they do that all the time, yeah, your voice is going to be shot at an early age.
Sorry, I lost my fucking train of thought. I do apologize. Damn, I can't fucking remember what I was about to say. But
we're talking about Florida.
The kids. How did she fucking find time to have 2 children? You know, like, and who did she have? I never really figured out who the dads were. Because the one son, who was interviewed in this, mentioned her stepdads. You know, I thought Gangrel might have been one of the dads, but obviously no, it was a stepdad too. Who the fuck were the dads? We never found out, did we?
I don't think they.
She was married twice before she met Gangrel. So she was married to some guy before that.
Yeah, Gangrel's tag team partner.
She was married to Tom Hurd. Tom Nash, I should say.
Yeah, Tom
Nash. Before that, I think it was Dick Slater she was married to, or she was at least romantically involved with him.
And it just goes to show, like, in this industry, and Medusa brings this up, by the way, a little bit later, and she looks fucking fantastic, by the way. But and I've always liked Medusa. I thought she was always a great wrestler, like a complete package. But like people like Luna Vachon, even as a mother, couldn't have any time to bring up her kids. You could even see it in the son later on, like. There was not much regret there, like, not much sadness there, because he hardly knew his fucking mom.
Yeah, because she only came home. Back in those days, you were literally on the road like 300 some odd days a year. Like, it's getting back to that way now, but back then it was like you were on the road literally almost all the time. You were lucky enough if you got to go home at least a couple days out of the month back then.
Oh yeah, if you want a good example of how that can affect somebody, I suggest watching Beyond the Mat. And Jake the Snake Roberts' daughter.
Oh
yeah. That's a good episode too, by the way.
Yeah. By the way, Jake the Snake and his daughter, they've made up.
Think so,
I don't know.
Yeah.
They might have.
Because Jake the Snake has his wife around.
I honestly don't know if he's reconnected with that one. I think he's got a couple of children, but I don't know if he's reconnected with his daughter who was in Beyond the Mat.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see how I remember that episode. You can see how alien they were to each other. Like, she had no. Like, this guy might as well be a total fucking stranger. And it was a dad. But anyway, getting back to this, it was sad that that she had no relationship with her son. The fact that she was being looked after by the grandma was also sad. And women wrestlers themselves, they could never be mothers, because of the industry they're in. It was kind of amazing that Luna was a mum herself, with 2 kids. Most of them would end up having to be parents after they hang up their boots, because there's no way they could do it whilst they were wrestling. It was very, very sad. But she ends up finally getting we have this. What was the name of that tag team with the black cloaks and the white?
The Blackhearts.
Yeah, the Blackhearts. I mean, those 2 men in the Blackhearts ended up being. She ended up having a love triangle with both those guys, didn't she?
Tom Nash and I think Gangrel, like, they got into a fight. Yeah, they got into a fight over her. And
now the son mentioned how she ended up marrying or dating Tom, and but he would be gone, and then during the day, Gangrel would be coming over to get his leg over, and eventually, that tag team split. They had their issues. That's a real life. Tag team bust up there.
The Gangrel's disputing the fact that he was seeing Luna while she and Tom Nash
it might
were
be disputed, but I believe the son 100%.
Oh yeah,
I believe the son 100%. Why would he make shit up like that? Why would he make out his mom to be like that? You know what I mean? But that's how it is. So,
this is how it was back then. It was like, thing is being faithful on the road. Yeah, that was a rarity back then.
Very rare.
Very rare.
Yeah, of course Gangrel's gonna fucking lie. He was fucking his mate, his tag team partners and his friend's fucking girl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course he's not gonna tell the truth about that, but he looked like a fucking arsehole. I do think though Gangrel came out quite good in this, regardless. It's fascinating when you see him in this episode. You see his appearance. He's got rid of that fucking teeth and all of that sort of shit. He's not trying to be like a vampire anymore. He just looks like a regular, just past his middle-aged dude. And I'm happy that he's like just keeping it real, to tell you the truth. But he came across okay in this. Obviously, we have Mick Foley in this as well. Mick Foley is a bit like fucking Chris Jericho. They seem to be everywhere. You know what I mean?
You got to understand also, Mick Foley's kind of like an elder statesman of wrestling now, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, but you look at when it comes to a lot of these wrestlers who've destroyed themselves, for the sake of entertainment, like especially in deathmatch wrestling and hardcore wrestling.
Yeah.
Mick Foley's come out on. Mick Foley lost a fucking ear.
Yeah.
If anyone's come out good in all of this. You look at Terry Funk, you look at Sabu, you look at all these motherfuckers. Mick Foley's come out pretty good. You know what I mean? He's got.
I would dispute that. Mick Foley does. Mick does let him.
I don't know. Pain. I don't know if you guys have seen like the show Off the Record with Michael Landsberg, but Mick Foley, he's not as intelligent as a lot of people make him out to be, and it's not entirely his fault. It's because of the concussions. Because Mick Foley, he's admitted like there's been times I've driven past my house like 5 or 6 times because of the impact on my brain. So
I wouldn't put that down to intelligence, though. You know what I mean?
I would put that to brain damage. But Mick has even said that he's finding his mental state is deteriorating as he gets older. He's not as lucid as he used to be.
No, I agree, but he seems to
part of me suspects that one of the reasons that he's been involved with the show like this as heavily as it is because he wants to get as many of the stories out there as he can
while he can.
While he still can.
Yeah, I got to agree with Shredder. As someone who has survived traumatic brain injury before, I have to agree with Shredder on that.
Yep.
Yeah. So, okay, so we're getting all this information regarding Luna. Where am I now? I'm kind of a bit lost.
I think this is her first run in WWE, I think.
Yeah, this is when she finally makes it. She's about to
I remember WrestleMania 9, and this is where I started to believe that wrestling started to become fake. We're watching WrestleMania 9 because it was just a fucking joke. You know what I mean? The whole pageantry of it, fucking Caesar's Palace. You got everyone fucking dressed up in togas and shit. It was so fucking stupid. But there she is as valet manager of Shawn fucking Michaels. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was Sensational Sherry at first.
He was
another lady who
and then he switched up to Luna. Because
he ditched Sensational Sherry, and the storyline going into WrestleMania was that Sherry was coming out to advise Tatanka on how to beat Shawn Michaels.
Yep. And that match ended by countout, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Who won that match? I can't remember.
Tatanka, I think he won by countout. I think
it was by countout. Originally, apparently, he was supposed to win the IC title at that time.
But let me guess. Shawn, I think, pulled the "that doesn't work for me, brother," and then that was the end of that.
Oh god,
he definitely did veto on that one. Shawn was a piece of shit back then, from what I understand.
Oh, it got worse. It got worse.
Oh, absolutely.
I know it did. Yep. I know it did.
Oh yeah, it got way worse than we think.
Well, let's be honest. WrestleMania 9, that wouldn't have been the only case of that doesn't work for me, brother.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone remembers what happened after the event.
I was 4 when that happened, and even I was like, "This is some bullshit."
I know, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, as I said, I remember because I had that Raw video game.
And then they talked about the video game, how she made it in the video game. She was the first in the Western world to make it into a WWF video game. She was actually a pretty good character to play as, too.
Oh, she was. She was one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but she wasn't the first woman to make it into a pro wrestling video game. That honor goes to Dump Matsumoto, I believe is her name, who was in All Japan Pro Wrestling. And she had an arcade game and also a home port version, which they changed all the female wrestlers to men when they ported it to the West as pro wrestling on the Sega Mega Drive. Sorry, not the Mega Drive, the Master System.
Yeah.
Well, she was finally in the big time, being in the WWE, but there was no real women's division at that particular period. And you had 2 fantastic women wrestlers in Sherry and Vachon. You also, you had floating about, you had Medusa as well.
And I'm surprised I'm surprised they didn't mention Bull Nakano, Bertha Faye, because there was a few there was a couple they didn't touch on. Mm-hmm. They actually had a pretty decent roster at the time, but Vince and the mentality was, women don't.
I think they don't wrestle. I think he stopped doing the actual women's championship. I think a year or 2 before she came in.
It was afterwards because
it was after.
Remember, it was Medusa left with the belt.
Yep.
No, but I mean, I'm sure that Rocky Robin had, and they stopped being defended for a couple of years.
That was back in the 80s, but then they resurrected it back in the 90s for a brief time.
All right.
And you had like 6 girls, I think, all together in the division, and the main 2 were Bull Nakano and Alundra Blaze. Those were the 2 that were mainly known. And you could also argue Bertha Faye to an extent, but Luna, she was relegated to managerial, and she didn't like that.
Yeah, she wasn't bad as a manager. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, you pair her with somebody like Bam Bam Bigelow. That's a package that really does belong together.
Yeah, I agree.
Sensational Sherry, great women's wrestler. I would argue better manager.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the people she managed: Randy Savage, Shawn Michaels, Harlem Heat. I mean,
Hall of Famers.
Really?
Certified Hall of Famers.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, to be honest, I thought the hand in glove management job she did was on Bam Bam, because you want to talk about two people who fitted each other like a glove. Exhausting because they're both like painted. They had the painted faces. They're both like very striking looking. Like you knew what you're going to get from both of them. And I think it's that they were both immensely talented.
Yeah, and then did they cover like how they split up or like how they let her go? Because I can't remember. They should have done that.
They covered that they fired her.
Okay, they fired her because I know due to a drug problem the first time.
Yeah.
93.
Yeah.
They said it was for her own good.
But she came back.
Yeah, years later, but after going to ECW first,
which was great to see her like kick the shit out of
Stevie Richards.
Actually, seeing her in ECW made me the most happy because she didn't have to do any of this stupid fucking face paint mohawk bollocks.
Yeah, she got to go out there and work,
and she looked legitimately natural. Just go out there, fucking, and have matches. Wearing that singlet and stuff like that. It just looked like the most natural I'd ever seen her. And
I think it depends who you book her against. I mean, you book her against Taz. Now you expect Taz to choke her out in you choke her out in 5 seconds. You put her against somebody like a Stevie Richards. You expect Stevie to get the absolute shit kicked out of him, especially at that time when he was Raven's lackey.
Yeah, put him against Stevie. Put him against the BWO. You could probably put her against maybe Candido, and her would have actually been a hell of a match.
That would have been an interesting match. It would have been. Because I'm pretty sure there would have been some shadiness going on after, during the match, like rope grabbing and stuff like that. Maybe weapon sneaking.
But she ended up being lured back into the WWE, and this is like now we're getting to Attitude Era period now, aren't we? And
this is about 97.
And this just needs to be said before we elaborate. Fuck Sable. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah.
I don't blame her more than I blame Vince McMahon, who just basically calls the shots on everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, I still have to put a little blame on Sable because I know Sable had some stroke back then. I don't give a fuck what anyone says.
Oh yeah, she did.
Yep.
Apparently,
I don't know if it was so much
as well.
I don't know if it was so much that Sable had stroke. It was more the fact that Vince's McMahon and Russo were just utterly infatuated with her. That's why they told Luna, "You put a bruise on her,
you're fired."
Yep.
Which you watch the WrestleMania mixed tag match between Mark Mero and Sable against the artist formerly known as Goldust and Luna, and
Luna worked her ass off.
Sable taking any bumps in that entire match?
Luna sold her ass off. She bumped. She fed.
Yeah, she put over Sable. I mean, clean. And I don't think Luna got any offense in at all during that entire exchange.
Luna got her ass beat. It's like picture how Shawn Michaels took his ass whooping in the Hell in a Cell match in '97. Yeah, he got his offense in, but Shawn also took an ass whooping. That's kind of how I would equate it to Luna.
Except Luna, I don't think got any
Luna got
any offense in at all.
She sold her ass off. Yeah,
sold her ass off, and unfortunately, we get to the stage where
the saddest thing is when you get to the back. You see flowers and wreaths and all that shit, and Luna's like, "Oh yeah, this is for me, isn't it?" And then they're like, "Oh no, it's for Sable," and it was like, "Oh come on, man."
That isn't the first time that's happened though in the WWF.
No.
The best example before that would probably be Tom Mcgee.
Oh yeah.
For anyone who's not aware, Tom Mcgee had pretty much the entire package. He was this chiseled bodybuilder. He had the blonde curly hair. He to Vince McMahon was going to be the next Hulk Hogan.
Oh yeah,
and he puts Tom Mcgee out in a match untelevised against Bret Hart.
If you haven't seen that match, it's one of the long lost gems. You guys need to see that match. It kicks
absolutely,
ass.
But namely because Bret sells his fucking ass off,
and he said, "You need to do everything I tell you to do. You cannot improvise one bit. You need to do everything."
Bret made Tom Mcgee look like a superstar, like he could be a future world champion.
He did that to Yoko too. Speaking of WrestleMania 9,
but he didn't really have to do that much for Yoko because Yoko.
Again, with Tom Mcgee, Vince McMahon looked at that match and he initially thought, "Tom Mcgee's my next guy. He's the next Hulk Hogan. He's my next world champion." And then they stick him in with other guys.
I remember this.
He can't do jack shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's fucking horrible in the ring.
Yep.
It only,
I remember this
proved
now.
how talented Bret Hart was to put him over.
Mhm.
Yep.
You look at Sable after that WrestleMania match, her matches were fucking rotten.
Yeah,
I don't think Sable ever had one. Okay, you guys, somebody will correct me out there, but I don't think she had one memorable match after this. I really don't.
None.
Yeah, I really don't. I think
she came down women's champion, I think, not long after this.
But
I
do
can
you
remember a
that?
grand total of 2 matches that Sable had in her career.
Maybe one against Jacqueline might have been it.
Yeah, I can remember.
Jacqueline
no,
would have given her a good match.
I tell a lie then. Yeah, that's 3 because there's Jacqueline. There's
maybe that Tory chick too.
Yeah,
WrestleMania 15.
That was the rest. That was the other one. WrestleMania 15.
But she did leave and come back. She came back in like mid 2000s, I think.
And that lasted for a cup of coffee.
She didn't really have any matches. This was like the equivalent of Diva pillow fights on SmackDown, effectively.
Yep.
But the other match I would say I remember is probably her, one of her final ones where she dropped the women's title. Where, despite the fact that it was an evening gown match, she had stripped off Deborah, but they decided that the rules were changed that Deborah losing her clothes first meant that she was the winner.
Yeah, because this is when Shawn Michaels was the commissioner. I think this is when they got their highest rating ever, to my knowledge. It might have been that Raw that they did that.
Yes.
Don't
get too excited, boss man. But I don't know if you ever saw Mero's last match in the WWF, which did involve Sable, but there was topless nudity in it.
Yeah, I saw. Josh, can I just say something? Sable never did really do it for me.
Yeah, you ain't the only one thinking that.
Yeah.
Oh, Sable.
I mean, yeah, she weren't really my type. I'd rather go for Luna Vachon, who has a character who is a strong woman.
Brock Lesnar's banging her right now, isn't he?
Brock Lesnar's married to her.
Yeah.
But as Cornette said, I don't know what they got for putting a live microphone in front of Sable, but it should have been 3 to 5 years.
But okay, yeah, and then after WrestleMania 14, another sad thing was like Mick Foley and Sonny went to the back and they tried to comfort Luna, and Luna, this is when the schizo went off, and she just lost it. And it was
I can understand her losing it at Sonny. Maybe Sonny just came across as a wise ass. I mean, she had a reputation of being an utter bitch backstage, especially to the other women.
Sonny, during that time, for a lot of people that don't know, she was fucking Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels at the same time about a few months before, I think.
No, she wasn't. She wasn't fucking Bret Hart. She was fucking Shawn Michaels, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Apparently she was sleeping with Bret too. That's why Shawn had the Sunny Days promo.
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah, Sonny was not the most faithful person on the road. I'm just going to say that.
Don't say.
Oh yeah, I mean, Jim Cornette has even said that. Look, he was trying to help Sonny round about that time where she was getting a lot of heat with management. For her attitude backstage. And again, she could come across as really snotty to some of the other women, so Terry Runnels didn't get along with her. I think Chyna had some issues with her at the time.
I can't recall if anyone really got along with her.
Yeah,
there's
been stories about the Godwins slopping her and everybody just basically taking turns pissing in the fucking bucket.
Yep. Oh. I've heard that happened at a house show once.
Here.
Yeah.
I heard that happened at a house show, maybe at the Garden.
I can understand Luna snapping at somebody like Sonny and not snapping at Mick Foley, because Mick Foley was one of the genuine nice guys of the business.
He was like, "Hey, are you okay? Don't worry about it. You're going to be okay." And
absolutely.
Then you get to where she's about to. I think she's about to get ready to exit the WWF for the second time because
she was suspended at that point. Apparently,
I gotta say this because I know there's people that love the Attitude Era, and I'm gonna have a take that are gonna piss people off. A lot of the Attitude Era is not as great as we remember it.
Oh no.
It's really not. And a lot of people like to say, "Oh yeah, the in-ring action was the best." I kind of beg to differ for a certain amount of time. I would say from about 98, 99, it was kind of
the story. It was about the storylines, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was more about the soap opera element.
It was also more a product of its time. It's much like things like we look back at some things from the 1980s, and we absolutely cringe.
Oh yeah,
nowadays.
Oh yeah.
It's the same with the Attitude Era. We're now 20 years removed from the Attitude Era.
And you look back and you go...
It's much like 20 years ago when we were looking back at the 1980s and cringing then. We're now looking back at the Attitude Era, the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, and we're cringing at that because there was a lot of stuff that was just horrible and you could not get away with today.
No, you can't.
Talking of horrible, there was one segment which I absolutely remember so well. And that was like the.
Is it going to be the Mae Young hand thing or
the bikini thing where they're all like told to like take their clothes off and reveal themselves?
Oh yeah, you're talking about her final WWF appearance, the Miss Rumble 2000 contest.
Oh God, no, we're not going to talk about that. No, I still have nightmares.
Can I just say, right? Yeah. There's very, very few things in my life have traumatized me.
That's one of those things.
But Mae Young taking her top off is one of those things.
Oh God!
Well,
do we have to talk about this? I don't want to.
I don't want to talk about Mae Young. I don't want to talk about. I just want to say the fact. I just want to talk about Luna Vachon.
Okay.
Because everyone else was taking their shit off, and she wasn't. And I remembered that. I remember that she refused to do it.
Yep.
I remember that clear as day. And I just thought that was part of the story.
Well, let's go back to what happened and what led up to that. The previous month, there was the WWF pay-per-view Armageddon 1999.
Yep.
And there was a fatal four-way evening gown match for the women's title, which was held in like a pool of water.
Of course.
So you had Ivory defending the women's title against, I think it was Jacqueline,
BB, and Miss Kitty.
Miss Kitty, the cat. Now, what happens is the cat wins the match. Miss Kitty wins the match.
And here comes their most famous moment that nobody talks about.
In WWF television.
Yep.
She allegedly went into the match saying, well, when she was put in the match, the gimmick was apparently, it's like, oh, I don't wear underwear. It's like, so we potentially are going to see Miss Kitty naked. She then cuts a promo afterwards where she's won the title and says,
she does the thing.
We know what you all came to see, but just to warn you, they made me wear underpants.
Yep.
She takes her dress off and then unhooks her bra, lifts it, and exposes her chest to the entire audience and the pay-per-view audience at home. Now, allegedly, this was not supposed to happen.
And they got fined for that. They got fined for that.
Yeah, they got a lot of trouble for that.
Yep.
But allegedly, what happened was Slaughter just happened to be a little bit too late getting the towel in.
Yep.
Yep. Again, this isn't the first time this has happened. That a woman's breasts have been exposed on WWF television. No. Before that, WWF Capital Carnage. Jacqueline gets her top ripped off by Sable.
Yep. I remember that.
But yeah, Miss Kitty.
Yeah, Brian Kendrick running around fucking waving his cock about, man.
Yep.
Yeah,
but as I said, supposedly what happened was Sergeant Slaughter got in too late with the towel, and that's why Miss Kitty's breasts were exposed on pay-per-view. Now, fast forward the next month, the WWF Royal Rumble, the WWF actually sold this with a rating that suggested that there was going to be nudity.
Oh yeah, they did.
And they have this bikini contest, so the speculation is that it's probably going to be either Miss Kitty again, or it's going to be BB is taking her clothes off.
The minute you heard Mae Young's music, you knew you were like,
you got
supposedly that wasn't even her real chest. They put a prosthetic on there because hers were actually still fairly firm. So they put this like horrendous prosthetic onto Mae Young for her to expose herself and put a red sensor bar over.
Yep.
No, I saw them. I saw them.
Oh, yeah, everybody saw them because the red sensor bar wasn't exactly on time, but this was apparently a gotcha moment from Vince McMahon, because of the response to...
And we still have nightmares to this day. Thank you, Vince, for that. Yeah.
But yeah, that was Luna's final appearance because, as it was pointed out, Luna had this idea, had this mentality of, wait a minute, you've spent years, and I've spent years cultivating this idea that I'm ugly, and yet you want me to go out there and completely expose myself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's another report about the event as well, which is that allegedly, I think Ivory may have said this in a shoot interview.
She did not want to do it. She did not want to.
It's not that she didn't want to do it. I may be misremembering this part. It's allegedly they were going around and trying to actually get one of the original participants, not Mae Young, but one of the original participants to agree to do it.
Yeah.
To actually take their clothes off, or at least expose their breasts to the audience.
Yeah, and Ivory was one of those that was like, yeah,
Ivory was one of those that was confronted and
Ivory
said
was
no.
a decent wrestler, man. So
Ivory was one of the few talented wrestlers they had in that era.
She's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. Well, again, she was gorgeous. She was absolutely but she, more importantly, she was talented as a wrestler. Yep. I mean, you could have actually put a decent women's match on if you had Luna versus Ivory.
Oh yeah,
that would be a good one.
Yeah, Luna versus Jacqueline. Ivory versus Jacqueline. You know, if you give these girls 10 minutes to go out and put on a decent match, they probably could. Unfortunately, they got 3-minute segments on things like Sunday Night Heat.
Yep.
I just want to mention that moment though where Luna was told to take off her gown,
and she refused.
And she refused. Now, at the time, I just thought that was part of the story.
Yeah. You look at Luna and you think, well, that's part of the gimmick.
Yeah, because she doesn't want to fucking conform. You know, and all of that, but you don't realize is that I don't know if she was maybe self-conscious because she was in good shape. But
here's a fact that a lot of people don't know. A lot of people like to romanticize the Attitude Era. Y'all got to remember too. A lot of the talent did not like what they were doing. Like a lot of them were like, "Yeah, we're not ready for this shit, but we got to do it anyway." I mean, that's how it was back then. Like Godfather, one of the most over gimmicks. I mean, he's up there as one of
Shango, man, for fuck's sake.
He's one of the top 5 guys during that era to have like the most out wildish, landish gimmicks, and he fucking hates pimps in real life. Like, and yet he was portrayed as a pimp. Mark Henry wasn't comfortable with the sexual chocolate stuff. He was like, I got kids.
They made him a fucking silverback, man, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
They did.
How racist can you get?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Shit.
Yeah, but a lot of people, Luna, she was in the right to say, yeah, hey, I'm not down with this shit. I don't feel comfortable with it. Because that's what a lot of talent were like at the time. They were like, I just want to go out here and work.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them didn't get to work.
Yeah, because I mean, this was the era when they were starting to do things like the WWF Diva magazines and DVDs and videos. I mean, was it not long after Lita and Trish Stratus came into the company? That's when you had like the first big WWF Diva special.
Mm-hmm.
Although I think they'd also done like a DVD for Sable beforehand as well.
Yep, Sable was the first that they really like profiled, and then after that, you saw Lita, you saw Trish.
Yeah, they were doing things. Deborah, Chyna, Trish, Terry, they were involved in things like bikini photo shoots.
Yep.
I think
the big one was like, I think their swimsuit DVD that came out.
Hedonism, was it called, or
Divas Undressed or something like that?
No, that was later on. But I think the first one was probably Hedonism or something like that.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
That was the first. That was because I think that was probably the only one that had Chyna in it.
I mean, the thing is that like I just remember, as I said, Sable's promos, which is it. I know all you guys came there to see me, and all the women who want to be me.
This is for all the men who this is for all the women who want to be me, and all the men who come
to see me.
Fuck off! Right? There's all I have to say to that shit.
But yeah, for all of us earlier, we were talking about Luna's run as a babyface. Yeah, for those that don't know, she was paired with the Oddities during that time with Kurgan, Golga, a.k.a. Earthquake, and the ICP, and I think a couple other people.
I don't remember any of this.
This was about
I remember a little bit of the Earthquake. I don't remember the ICP one, though.
ICP was in the group. They used to wrap them to the ring back in the day. Yeah.
I mean, I know that ICP used to be wrestlers and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yep. They used to wrap them to the ring.
ICP's first foray into pro wrestling was working with the WWF.
Yep. I do know that. I basically forgot that they were wrestlers at one time.
Yep.
Yeah, they were doing like mid-card feuds with the Headbangers, Kai and Tai.
Yep.
Basically stuff against guys who either weren't going anywhere or they had done some stuff with before but weren't really interested in doing anything with now.
Yeah, this is when you were working with ICP, it was kind of like, yeah, we're going to kind of phase you out. And they kind of did. That's what they kind of were.
That's sort of when the headbangers start to get reduced to the status of jobbers.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Or another term, Sunday Night Heaters, because they got relegated to that show too.
Oh, those are two sorts, yeah.
Yeah.
So she finally. Sorry, go on, boss man.
I was gonna say, yeah. I remember that this was like her last run. It's a shame because like she was really talented. Like as I said, like I didn't get why somebody could just go, hey, why don't we just do some good wrestling matches with her and Ivory? Because I think Ivory was champion around this time. I'm sure she was.
Well, you have to remember too. It's like we said, man. During this time, divas weren't working. It was tits and ass, and showing your ass every week. That was what they were doing.
But remember as well that Luna, unfortunately, a combination of her mental illness and her drug issues were effectively the victim of her career. She was constantly starting and stopping because companies would fire her, they would bring her back, they'd fire her, they'd bring her back.
Yep.
Namely the WWF. They would fire her, they would bring her back.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, again, if you've got the reputation that you're either crazy or that we can't trust you, then what are they going to do with you long term?
Mm-hmm. And this is before they went public, because I remember they let Luna go. God, I want to say 2000. Actually, okay, they went public. And
they'd already gone public in I think it was 1999.
October 99. Yeah, they went public. And then, with Luna, she had that reputation of being unreliable, and for corporate at a fucking PR speak, you can't have somebody like that. As talented as she was in the ring, she just wasn't one of those that you could keep around.
And I mentioned that she might have the reputation as being utterly crazy. Remember, the fact is, a lot of people didn't know about mental health issues as much as we do now.
And we as a society...
We mentioned this last week with the, or was it the week before with the Chris Canyon episode.
Yeah. And we as a society, a lot of people have to remember too, we as a society in the 90s and early 2000s were completely fucking different like we are now. Like we back then, we were like, oh, mental illness, like, oh,
pull yourself up by the bootstraps, bollocks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I just want to quickly say hello to Wrestling Lowdown. Hello, mate. He says that this should have been longer or a two-parter. I'm personally glad it wasn't, mate, because I never found this as interesting as other episodes, but that's just me personally. Mm-hmm. But I want to mention very quickly that after she got sacked, she was doing some cocaine on this board, and she had the cocaine lined up in the words "fuck you, Vince." That's what Gangrel said.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So she at least she still had a sense of humor, I guess. But this is when Gangrel started to realize, okay, you know what? Like we can't go on like this.
I got to get the fuck out of here because he knew.
Yeah, but she would have taken them down with him. So his career was starting to go places. As far as he was concerned, he was like, was it the Brood?
Yeah,
and he had he had Edge and Christian with him and all of that sort of shit.
Well, so at this time, the Brood had split.
The Brood had broken up.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
They were.
By 2000, Gangrel was reduced to again Sunday Night Heat. He was a jobber.
He was the Sunday Night Heat guy. Yeah.
Oh, fair enough. But he still had the career to go with in the WWE, which is more than what Luna Vachon had. And you can turn things around. I mean, let's look at Drew McIntyre. So, nevertheless, he decided to leave her, and before we know it, we start leading up to her death, because she's not in this episode to explain herself. So you already know when that happens that the person's dead. And it's kind of sad, really. And once again, it just goes to show how many wrestlers die way too fucking young. Mm-hmm. And this is what pisses me off about people like Vince McMahon. Like, he has a lot to answer for. When you think of the amount of fucking wrestlers who have died, it's just, and she being another one.
But Vince, you already know PR. He's going to be like, well, it was their choice for them to sign up for this business. This is what they got to do. That's going to be what he'll say.
I will say in Vince McMahon's defense in this case, remember they were talking about how it always snowed in Florida. She was doing cocaine, pills, alcohol, Quaaludes, all of that stuff in the Florida territory. Yep. She was doing this long before she ever stepped foot in a WWF ring.
Yeah, Florida's pretty fucked up. Florida is not where you want to be if you're a wrestler. I mean, yeah, Florida is one of those places to go work for the territories, but Florida is mostly for the people that were, I think, already in the twilight of their career or the past the twilight of their career.
Or they were never was.
Yeah, or they were never was.
Fair enough. But, it was her son who was in and out of this episode mentioning how he became a chef, and I'm happy for him.
Yeah, and he was in Hell's Kitchen.
Did he?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that. But he sorry, let me just put this message here. He was going to do some sort of job he had in Canada when he got a phone call from, was it his grandmother?
Yeah, his grandma.
Yes.
Yeah, and he then found out from his grandma that his mum was dead. Probably from an overdose by the sound of things.
Yeah.
Yes. Some people have speculated it was suicide, but I think the official ruling was that it was just basically a drug overdose.
Mm-hmm.
And before she died, she did. What did she do? She
talked to Mick.
No, but she, like, career wise, she hanged around bikers. She was a tow lady. Like she was a waitress even.
Yeah.
Yeah, WWF even did a profile on her there because they were doing a series of profiles for their website. Where are they now?
Mm-hmm.
And they met one of that they did an article on was Luna, and they mentioned the fact she was driving a tow truck.
Yep.
Yeah. So
one thing we did gloss over though before we're going to wrap all this up was the time that Alundra had offered to drop the title to Luna.
Oh yes,
we glossed over that, and we need to talk about that.
Yeah, bring it up.
That would have been a good thing, I think, had they would have done it. But Luna, I think she felt like Eddie Guerrero did at the time, where she was like, "Okay, this is a cool thing, but I can't carry this," or like, "I don't want to carry it," kind of thing. And I thought that was a very classy move by Alundra to offer to drop the belt to Luna for women's wrestling.
Absolutely. We also did kind of gloss over the fact that, much like Chris Kanyon, her bipolar disorder was such that where she could be talking to you absolutely normal, sweetly 1 minute, and then absolutely snap and become Luna.
Somebody else the next. Yeah.
Yeah, because wasn't it Penelope Paradise? Who, basically...
Penelope Paradise, they got in a fight in the hotel room. And were tearing the place apart.
She went over to house. She was really nice to her, and then also she'd flip on a dime and then like be like that. And she said, "Look, I can't have you around my kids if you're going to act like that."
Yeah, because in her final days, Luna showed up to her house with a gun.
Yeah,
and was rambling incoherently.
And then one thing that they didn't cover, but I wish they would have said, was Luna did get her Hall of Fame induction. Granted, it was through the legacy portion of the thing, which I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah. When you look at who they inducted that year,
mm-hmm.
I mean, do you know who the 2019 women's inductee was?
Who?
No.
It was Tori Wilson.
Yeah.
I mean, tell me that Tori Wilson was more deserving of a proper induction than Luna Vachon.
No.
I mean, where's the lie on that? Where's the lie?
Yeah, Billy Kidman had an influence.
Well, they divorced at that point.
Yeah, they were already divorced. Yeah. But yeah, she got in the fucking legacy wing. I'm like, come on, man. For all the shit she did.
Yeah.
I mean, you took on somebody who was influential in the. I mean, cause you probably ask a lot of women. They say that one of the women who influenced her to start was her.
Yeah. I felt that Luna never really got her due by the WWE.
I think she was also shadowed by Sherry as well, but Sherry and Luna were quite similar.
Yeah.
In, like crazy fucking bitches, basically. And I can see Sherry just being a more top draw and just...
Gangrel brought it up. I mean, Sherry, it's well documented that she had her problems when it came to substance abuse. And unfortunately, that pairing together was incredibly destructive. The fact that Sherry had her substance abuse problems, and unfortunately, pairing her up with Luna, who also liked, to
take a
few pills and indulgence and nose candy.
Yep. And during that time, that was the sex, drugs, and rock and roll era.
Quick question.
Yo.
So quick, I need to get this off my chest. Sherry Martel, yeah?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Was she related to Rick Martel?
No,
she was married to him.
No.
Married to him, but
And that's how she got the surname Martell.
Yes, she was married to him.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
But there are stories, and I don't know how true these stories are, of Sherry Martel going to a guy and saying, "You ain't gonna f me good, or I'm gonna beat the crap out of you." Basically,
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be shocked.
Do you mean like how Luna apparently went into the locker room and yelled at Gangrel, "Fresh meat"?
And then he looked at her like, "Yeah, I don't want nothing to do with you." And then like, "Why don't you like me? Why don't you like me?" It was like the cosmic. It was like he was trying to stay away from the cosmic universe, and she was trying to like get in, and then they somehow ended up together. And it's like shit that shouldn't end up together, but they did anyway. And they covered that on the episode too, where he was like, "Yeah, you know, should we be together? No, I don't know really why we were, but you know, I can't help but still love her and still care for her." I mean, I even have a tattoo of her on my arm.
Because they were married for about, 7 odd years?
Yeah, a long time.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
But he said to her, he said, "Look, I should have divorced her a couple of years before I did." But it's just like, I was in love with her, and when we broke up, I still went to be with her. I did feel in his voice that he still cares for her. And he said, I wish I was still there caring for her. I wish I cared for her.
I mean, you can trace a couple of different celebrity couples where they were both train wrecks, and unfortunately, one of them has got out, the other one unfortunately didn't really make it. The one that immediately springs to mind is not pro wrestling, but it's in the music business, and that would be Amy Winehouse and Pete Doherty.
Oh yeah,
Pete Doherty's a fucking loser, man.
Oh, yeah. I don't really care much for him, but I mean, look at the relationship they had. And the fact
but he also had a relationship with Kate Moss, and
he was
all over Kate Moss. He was all over Kate Moss because Kate Moss made him a star. Yeah, you know what I mean, and so that's why he kept him relevant.
Well, he didn't need Kate Moss to be a star. He was a star.
He was fucking nothing without Kate Moss, man. He was useless. You
know,
he's a great man.
But again, it's the fact that you look at the two of them, the fact that he got out of the relationship, and he eventually did get his life together, but Amy Winehouse didn't. She passed away.
Member of the 27 Club.
I go past their local pub quite often in Camden Town. The Hawley Arms, I believe it's called. But yeah, that's another story. But regarding Gangrel and Luna Vachon, sometimes you can break up because you have a disdain for each other. It wasn't just like Gangrel just knew that she was falling apart and he couldn't be part of it anymore. He never actually hated her, but he couldn't be part of that train wreck either.
Yeah, I can't watch you destroy yourself, because we've all had to have that come to Jesus meeting with friends, family, because we've all been through some shit like that at one point or another in our lives.
That I've had to do that with, it was nothing to do with as hard as drugs as what Gangrel was doing.
Yeah,
but I had a girlfriend who unfortunately liked too much of that. Be much harder, like Stella, and she was only like 114 stone tops.
114 stone?
No, 14.
Okay, but
I was like, whoa.
Were you initially trying to say the weight in pounds by any chance?
Yeah, sorry. So I said, but she was very, very dainty. But unfortunately, she was at uni, she got into a very heavy drinking culture. And I tried to help her out of this, but I learned that there was only so much I could help her, and she had to help herself.
Yeah, you don't want to lose yourself in a relationship. Man,
exactly. I was going myself into very heavy alcoholism, and there was a point where I had to say, you know what, I've got to get myself out because I've got a very addictive personality anyway.
Yep.
And I felt myself that I was getting drugged into it, and I think this is the same sort of thing that he just went, look, I can't be around you because otherwise I'm going to feel myself getting trapped in this cycle.
Yep.
Well, just look at me, guys. I just quit smoking everything just a few months ago. I'm 4 months clean now.
Good job.
Yeah, unfortunately, I put on a bit of weight since I've stopped smoking. But that's, I guess, one leads to the other. But that's how it goes. But now I need to start losing a bit of weight now because I'm feeling my clothes getting a little bit tight on me, which is pissing me off.
I'll tell you what, Sam. At the end of the call, stay on and I'll help you out with that.
Okay, fair enough. So, one of the saddest parts of this episode was a lack of of not remorse, but of hurt from the son. Like he never just didn't give a shit too much that his mom died, but that's how it goes.
Too, they never had the relationship because she was only home 1-2 days out the year, like they said. She wasn't home.
Close. She never met her grandkids.
Yeah, she was embarrassed apparently. Yeah,
she did say though that she did regret the two things she regrets was never becoming the women's champion and never getting to see her kids grow up.
Yeah, because she sacrificed getting to see her kids to try and be women's champion, and then unfortunately that never happened. So she didn't even get the payoff from that.
Even though she was offered that.
Title. I thought that Alundra Blaze came off of this is really good because she was like saying like I wish that she would have took it because like literally she was one of the nicest people I've ever around in my life.
Yeah,
I like her a lot. Yeah, she came across really well here.
Well, did anyone come across really badly in this episode?
No, actually, this is going to be something. This is going to be something for our retrospective episode. We might want to save this.
Yeah, because did anyone other than say maybe Paul Vachon, because Paul said that he wasn't aware of any of the allegations. Now, whether or not that's true, whether or not the allegations were true,
I think you could actually say that nobody
did anyone ever really come across as being an absolute scumbag.
I think this is probably going to be the only episode of this season where that may happen.
But I think Vince McMahon and
buried
Sable did.
Oh well, they buried Sable. Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Let me just quickly on Gangrel's podcast. He said one time Luna put a gun behind him.
They interviewed, there was nobody. I came away from this thinking, you're an absolute detestable piece of shit.
I know. For the first time, we didn't have, I think the second time, because during the Johnny Canine episode, here's a running gag. We didn't have somebody say an asshole-ish comment at the end of the fucking episode, Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody came off like an asshole for the second time this episode, for the end of the episode. The Johnny Canine episode and this episode are the only two episodes this season where I'm like, wow, they didn't sound like an asshole at the end.
I don't know if you guys listened to it. I know Cornette was asked a question about Sable recently. About Luna and Sable recently on his podcast, and he apparently, he and a couple of others had to talk Sable out of beating the shit out of. had to talk Luna out of beating the shit out of Sable because apparently Luna had decided she was going to lock Sable into one of those production cases that she threw Sunny into.
I believe it.
Really?
I believe it.
I believe that.
I believe that shit because Sable. I think Sable had a big fucking head.
Well,
back
also,
then.
Sable was pretty much courting a bunch of ass whoopings though too, aside from just Luna.
Oh yeah,
just about everybody in the back room, at least the female wrestlers, hated Sable.
Oh yeah, they didn't like her.
She was snotty to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she was the top of the food chain with no talent.
Yeah, but apparently, I said the word apparently, she was doing some favors for Vince McMahon behind the back. Those are rumors.
That's alleged.
That's alleged and something you're probably never going to hear about again.
Yeah.
They will bury that. That will be one of the secrets that go to the grave.
Yeah, Cornette's told the story about how you'd be in booking meetings and Vince's McMahon and Russo would fantasize about her in white panties.
Yeah, I've heard those rumors too.
Yeah, I've heard that.
He's spoken about how they could never get anything done when they would always talk about the Sable T-shirt spot or fantasizing about her in white panties.
Reminds me of the time when they were fucking going to book the Patriot and Jim Cornette threatened to beat the fuck out of Kevin Dunn. He's like, look here, motherfucker, if you don't fucking shut the fuck up about this, I'm going to jump over this table and beat the fuck out of you. And folks, I was no ready to Natural Couture, but I could beat the fuck out of Kevin Dunn because I was younger and I had better knees back then. I remember hearing that like on one of the U-Shoot interviews that Cornette did. I cracked the fuck up when I heard that.
I think that was his Timeline WWF 97 interview.
Yep. Right when they were about
Montreal.
When they were going to talk about like Montreal, and he's like, "Well, I'm still wondering about the Patriot." And then Kevin Dunn goes, "Jim,
I find you tiresome."
But But apparently he is still very sensitive about his teeth. Apparently.
Oh yeah,
Kevin Dunn. Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
He had to go and fucking apologize to the guy because Kevin Dunn started crying.
Oh, I remember hearing about that on the Jim Cornette podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, because he was like, "Oh, everyone makes fun of me because of my teeth." And he was like,
anyway,
"Yeah."
On the counterpoint to this, if I was Vince Russo, I get a cut. Part of the quarters like goes away with quick brother. I beat the shit out of him because he's not only started off his wife, he's started off his mom, started off his children. I'd fucking kick his shit out of him.
They're never gonna fight.
Well, it depends. Cornette has disputed what he said about his, the claims that he said anything about his wife and kids.
Yeah.
No, but he did say stuff about his kids. He said that they were really troublemaking kids.
Well, no, that's what he said. He said, like, I never, he said that Cornette basically said that Vince Russo had claimed that Cornette had threatened his children. He says, I've never said anything about his children. I mean, his children were, some pretty fucking misbehaving Howl at the Moon kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm blind. He said that he was at a cookout at, was it at Bruce Pritchard's house? And he said, try my hammock. Oh, sure will. So he's lying in the hammock peacefully, and the kid shot him with a water gun hooked up to a garden hose. But apart from that, that was the only thing he had ever had to say about his kids.
Yep.
But anyway, back to Luna and this episode. Again, we get back to the point where they're talking about the modern era of women's wrestling. Yeah, I think Luna probably would be proud of it. I think she would love to see today's product because obviously this was the kind of thing that I think she was hoping for. This was the kind of stuff she would have loved to have done with Medusa, with Sherry Martel, with Rhonda Singh, with Bull Nakano, but unfortunately never really got the chance to do it. Unfortunately, if Luna was alive and in her prime today, I do not think that WWE would touch her with a 10-foot pole. Right. Not just because of the mental health issues, but because of the drug issues as well.
Yeah, she would most likely be working for one of those, like Impact or MLW. She would have been in one of those promotions, I think. Absolutely. She would have been an indie. She would have been an indie star, no doubt about it. That would have been Luna's future.
Yeah, I can see her being on Impact, to tell you the truth.
I don't know. I mean, I think she could have been in WWE as like sort of like a Legends character, like somebody like let's say was like I'm not comparing the two people, but I'm just saying the sort like authority figure like a Ric Flair was, or like I'm trying to think of a fellow like a Bullet Brother Armstrong was in like talking about in like sort of like an older for women in this sort of era. I can see that.
I can't see it.
I can't. I could see her in the Indies at the very most. Maybe Impact would have been the highest she would have gotten.
But I mean, alive now in her prime. I mean, hey, look, they fucking let go of Kurt Angle in 2006 because he refused to go to rehab for painkillers.
Yep.
So you tell me with a straight face that with all of Luna's well-documented substance abuse issues, she would have lasted a month in WWE before they let her go.
I would have been amazed if she did.
I'd be surprised if they even let her in, to be honest. They would have been like, no, thank you. You're a lawsuit waiting to happen.
She would have probably been a dark match, and that would have been it.
Okay, so
it's unfortunate, but that's the reality. Again, I think maybe if she was around today, the mental illness wouldn't have been as much of a factor because we've learned a hell of a lot more.
We have,
even the drugs as well, because she'll get tested and she'll be tested.
That depends. I mean, again,
how tight? The thing you have to ask yourself though is, and we'll never know, is how tight is WWE's wellness policy?
Well, they've suspended people like Randy Orton, who's like top tier, on a separate occasions.
Technically, Orton should have been fired under the strike rule.
He got to work a couple of them off because there's a policy in there now. There's a clause in there like if you do like a certain amount of this or that or whatever, you can work one of them off, which means their policy is bullshit.
Yeah,
but because Orton should have been the first to be let go.
How many times has Jeff Hardy's had chances? Like he's been.
Hardy's another one too.
He won the fucking belt after fucking up. You know what I mean? So,
no. I think he fucked up after.
He fucked up after.
He fucked up before. He's fucked up after.
It's 2002, 2003 run.
Yeah, he fucked up,
and he gets the belt again. You know what I mean?
Technically, he came back after all of his fuck ups.
Man, for fuck's
all
sake.
of his fuck ups. 2002, 2003 was before the wellness policy came in.
Yeah.
Then when the wellness policy came back, he kept his nose clean, but after he left the company, he started fucking up again. That's when he got arrested for what was it? Charges of trafficking.
Yeah, he had didn't he get arrested for having bottles and bottles and fucking bottles of pills and shit?
It was such
after he quit.
It was such an extreme amount of pills. I think they actually charged him for drug trafficking.
Oh yeah, and he went to jail he was supposed to get 2 years or whatever, but he got 10 days or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, he was a very, very lucky man.
Mm-hmm. Jimmy Uso's another one as well. I mean, that guy is fucked up.
They're not going to let him. They're not going to let him go.
No, but he's been caught drink driving so many times, which is just as bad.
Oh yeah, I know.
And
But how many times has we caught DUI now?
About 4 or 5 times.
I think about 3 times at least.
And it just seems like they keep okay, fine, you do something wrong, you get exposed for it, and then you serve your time and you come back to work again. There's no punishment of okay, you're fired, you can never work for the WWE anymore. I mean, he's got it good at the moment. He's probably in the best position of his career, working alongside Roman Reigns.
Yeah, this is the best it's ever going to get for the Usos. It'll never get better than this.
So, it's just this wellness policy is a load of bollocks now.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Yeah, so.
But I think that when you talk about things that Luna was doing, piles and piles of cocaine, heavy amounts of alcohol, the chances are I think she probably would have failed, at least a couple of drug tests, and that would have been it.
She would not have go. Yeah, she wouldn't have lasted in WWE. Impact, I could see being a little bit more lenient because of all the fuck ups that they've had over the years.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Okay, absolutely. So, I mean, they only fired Ken Anderson after he was, so fucked up that he couldn't even make it down to the ring.
Yep.
They let Jeff Hardy walk out to the ring, as fucked up as he was.
And had a match
against Sting.
Yeah.
Granted, it was 30 seconds.
Sting had to just do that match pretty much by himself, really.
Oh yeah, he legitimately held Hardy down for the 3 count.
He had to grapevine him. That's when you know you ain't getting out of that shit. When you have to grapevine him when you cover him.
Vince also knew that someone like Jeff Hardy is A-list. He's top tier star. He's got everything about him, just makes him one of the biggest stars of the company, and so he constantly forgave him for all his fuck ups.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see just why. He ticked all the fucking boxes. Maybe apart from maybe being a good role model, he ticked every box. So. Yeah.
Well, I mean, also he was a little bit on the smaller side because Vince likes big, beefy motherfuckers.
Yeah, but you say that, but then you got people like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, even Rey Mysterio. These guys have all had the belt at some particular point.
Bret and Shawn.
I don't even look at Edge. I don't even look at Edge as a super massive guy. Eddie Guerrero. These are all guys who've had it, yeah.
But all these examples you're giving, though, had to just friggin' sell their asses off in order to get to where they are, though.
Oh, yeah.
So you have to say that.
Daniel Bryan as well, another one. CM Punk.
I think there's always exceptions to the rules, but you look at Vince McMahon's policy on who he generally puts the belt on for the longest time.
No, I agree.
You either had to have the bodybuilder physique or you had to be a giant.
Yep.
No, I agree. I do agree. I'm just saying there are you can make it. At some even if you're not 6'6" and built like a brick shit house. There is an opportunity if you're popular enough, and sometimes they can't ignore the fans, which is one of the best things that ever happened with Daniel Bryan, which is why I love that moment.
In fairness, that was why Bret Hart got the belt, because Bret Hart was a huge megastar overseas.
Yeah, he was. Oh, he was. You would think he was the second coming of Christ. That's how over he was, especially in places like India and shit. He was really over down there.
India, Europe, Japan. Bret Hart was the guy everybody wanted to see.
And you can see that art imitating life when they had that promo between Vince McMahon and Bret Hart by saying, you know what, I just never got it. Regarding Bret Hart, I don't understand why people are so popular, but he couldn't ignore even though he never understood the popularity, he couldn't ignore the popularity. So, which is why he gave him the belt, and
that was back
to the moon.
And that was back when they used to listen to their fans. And now WWE on Twitter, before we go, they fucking had the nerve to say recently in an interview, Stephanie McMahon goes, "We have to listen to our audience and we empower our audience." I'm like, look at the fucking recent Queen of the Ring tournament you're doing. You motherfuckers are having these girls wrestle 2-minute matches. Empowerment, my ass. I'm
they
like,
hate this. They really.
Yeah.
You got this entitlement complex. You got this. We are the power. All of that stuff. They hate listening to the fans. They despise it. They want us. They want to tell us what to like. They want to control us, which is one of the reasons why I don't watch that fucking shit anymore. Yep. You know, because I hate fucking having to give in to these motherfuckers.
I mean, George Steele said that in an interview when they were talking about the Ultimate Warrior and how the fans booed the fuck out of Warrior when he was beating Andre in like 3 minutes.
Yep, they did that. The most famous example, if I remember right, was the cage match at SummerSlam 90 against Rick Rude. And Rick Rude was the heel, and Warrior was supposed to be the babyface. And the crowd, even Roddy Piper, which is here's what's so fucked up. Roddy Piper was a babyface commentator at the time, and he openly cheered for Rick Rude because he did not like the Ultimate Warrior. I thought that shit was fucking weird.
And by that time, they had so many fucking feuds, you know, like.
But as I was saying, George Steele gave the agent's report after the Warrior Andre matches at house shows where Warrior was winning in like 30 seconds to 3 minutes.
Yep.
And he was telling Vince the crowd hated it. They were ripping up. They were ripping up the posters of the Warrior. They turned on him. They hated his guts.
Yeah.
And Vince's response was, "Well, we'll feed them it until they accept it."
Yeah, and look how that turned out. They had him drop it to Savage because I think I thought the original plan was supposed to be Hogan gets his belt back at WrestleMania.
They had him drop it to. They had him drop it to Slaughter.
Slaughter, yeah. Thanks to Savage.
Savage did the interference.
Yeah, because he dropped it to Slaughter. Because I think the original plan was supposed to be whatever the fuck the stadium was in LA at the time that could hold 100,000 people, but they couldn't sell tickets or some such bullshit than what they tell you. They originally said, "Oh, it's because of Sergeant Slaughter's Iraqi angle." I'm like, that ain't it.
Yeah,
you motherfuckers couldn't sell shit at the time. That's what it was.
Which is why I was always bothered by the second big match they had at SummerSlam between Savage and Warrior. It was done on such good faith. I'm thinking to myself, hold on, you know, regardless of you guys being baby faces, you know, but Savage was a baby face at the time because he turned back to the Macho Man from Macho King.
And let's not forget. Okay, sorry to cut you off. Let's not forget that was the SummerSlam where Hogan was there and he saw that the kid had died. Remember that when we covered that a few weeks ago, Sam? Yeah, remember that shit when we covered Hulk Hogan's Greatest Lies? That was the SummerSlam that it happened on. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that was SummerSlam in London.
Yeah, where Hogan said that he was in the UK and he saw like the empty seat and he knew that the kid had died. I have to tell that story every time that the SummerSlam in UK comes up because it's one of the funniest yet saddest things at the same time.
I just always found it weird that there was such good sportsmanship between the two of them, considering what only happened a couple of years ago with the way Savage, you know, made Warrior lose his title. You know, so I that left a bad taste in my mouth as well.
Oh, the WWE is notorious for that. I mean, look at the fact that Michael Cole allegedly was anally raped by Heidenreich, and yet then had to.
They never mentioned it again.
Commentary.
Yep.
when they made Heidenreich a babyface.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh God. Heidenreich was supposed to be the new Brock Lesnar. That never worked out, did it?
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
That crashed and burned.
The next episode of Dark Side is
XPW.
Very interesting, yeah.
It's one of the death match.
It's Rob Black and XPW.
Yep, gonna be more deathmatch. Your favorite type of stuff, man.
Oh, for fuck's sake, I hate deathmatch shit. Sorry,
it was the wannabe ECW promotion run by porn producer Rob Black.
There's been a lot of deathmatch in this particular season.
Yep.
This is the third deathmatch episode.
I'm going to speak for me now, right? Because deathmatch wrestling isn't wrestling. It's bullshit, right? So
I think the entire panel agrees on that.
No, we all agree.
Yeah,
That's
going to be.
I don't mind watching this as a documentary. I'm fine with that. Watching it in documentary format but I would never go out of my way to watch deathmatch wrestling.
Nah.
No.
I unfortunately know very little about XPW, with the exception of some of the stuff that has been talked about quite widely. Things like Messiah having his finger cut off in an attempted hit because he was apparently fucking Rob Black's girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
Messiah got his finger cut off in a fight when two guys burst into his home.
XPW stands for X Pro Wrestling, yeah?
Extreme Pro Wrestling.
Extreme Pro Wrestling, yeah.
I know they got in a fight with the ECW guys at one point. Because
that's the one I know is the one where
they showed up to an ECW pay-per-view.
Yep.
Again, the match, it was a lot of deathmatch shit. New Jack was involved there. That's where he threw Vic Grimes off a scaffold.
Yes.
Attempted to kill him. I unfortunately have the I have somewhere in a box. I wish I knew which box it was so I could take it out and burn it. There's a DVD I have, the best of XPW Volume 1. I was given it as a gift one year. I can't remember if it was for Christmas or a birthday. I don't even know if I still speak to the relative that gave me it because I was so fucking disgusted by it. But they knew I was a pro wrestling fan. They knew I had some ECW DVDs because, you know, obviously ECW did put on some good quality matches. I mean, one of my first exposures to ECW was Anarchy Rules 99 and the match between Rob Van Dam and Balls Mahoney that main evented that pay-per-view. Other matches throughout the whole night. I mean, Lance Storm, Jerry Lynn. There was a lot of great stuff on that card.
The one where Taz got beat in 3 minutes because they knew he was leaving.
Taz drops the belt in 3 minutes to Masato Tanaka and Mike Awesome.
Yep.
But unfortunately, a relative got me this DVD of Extreme Pro Wrestling, XPW. It had a bunch of ECW guys on the cover that they recognized. They gave me this, and it was the worst fucking thing I've ever seen in my goddamn life.
I can't wait to get to next week.
This stuff made Nick Gage's promotion look professional.
Wow.
Fascinating. I can't wait to watch it.
That's about full. I was going to say,
there's been so many goddamn imitators ever since then. Probably the most notorious one, and one I think should probably be a future episode of Dark Side, particularly because two of the co-promoters actually are still around and still somewhat involved in wrestling interviews that they could get them. 3PW, Propane Pro Wrestling.
I remember that promotion.
Which was run by Blue Meanie and Jasmine St. Clair, the porn star.
Huh, okay.
Todd Gordon was also involved in that too. He was a financial backer.
You could just do a Dark Side season on the indies entirely and all the fuck ups.
Absolutely.
Like, wow.
Yeah, that'd be a season right there of itself.
Well, I was going to say, one of my favorite ECW matches is Eddie Guerrero Dean Malenko match, which was really, really good.
2 out of 3 falls. That was a classic.
Oh yeah, look, ECW was able to put on some absolutely fantastic wrestling, and they would give wrestlers the time to actually go out and wrestle. So you could get a guy like a Lance Storm, you could get a Jerry Lynn, you could get
Jericho.
Guys like Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, Chris Benoit. These guys, they would give them the time to go out and actually wrestle and work matches. It wasn't all just blood and guts bullshit. That's what XPW unfortunately was.
Zam, have you seen the Thrill Seekers yet, motherfucker?
Well,
I told you I was going to ask you if you saw the Thrill Seekers yet. Have you
what I saw was what I saw in that documentary.
God damn it!
I totally
go watch the Thrill Seekers. Go do it. Go watch them.
But
they're good.
They were called Sudden Impact as well, weren't they?
Yeah,
they were.
Yeah,
yes,
Jericho and Storm. Yeah,
go watch them. Seriously, go watch them. Good shit.
Your typical high flying baby faces. Yep. Okay, yeah, fair enough. I will remind me before we leave.
Before we go,
I'll definitely look into it. But but really, this is the starter before the main course. We're still looking forward to the steroid trial.
That's going to be the best one.
Oh yeah.
So much bullshit will be told in that episode.
Well, we shall see, because I think personally for me, I think there's nothing yet that's topped the Owen Hart episode.
Yeah, the Owen Hart one's been probably the toughest one to get through this season,
throughout
their entire run, actually.
Yeah.
That and the Benoit one are the two that stick out to me the most.
Let me have a quick look at the. Out
of everything they've done.
What they've done this season. 1 second.
That was the Brian Pillman episode.
That was excellent.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a really good episode. This is one I would advise people to check out. The one with Luna Vachon.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's not got any of the extreme, wild, crazy stories like blowing up a police station or trying to throw Vic Grimes off a scaffold and killing him, or stabbing another wrestler, or being involved in the Canadian mafia,
or setting the ring on fire and then they can't escape. Shit like that.
This is mostly a tragic story about a pioneer in the business, and it's one that I think really it's a story that really needed to be told.
Yeah, because she never got her due. I don't care what people say. She never got her due.
No, and that's an absolute tragedy.
Yeah,
there were some good episodes this season. I would have thought, me personally, my favorite episode, because it made me laugh, is the collision in Korea.
Yeah, the collision in Korea was good.
That made me laugh so fucking much. And I was expecting the same again from the plane ride from hell. Unfortunately,
now I can't joke about the plane ride from hell anymore. No, we know.
Yeah, what happened to that air stewardess was unbelievable. And it's amazing. This was one thing I like about this show, like what it uncovers, and like some of the what do you call it? Some of the damage control a lot of these wrestlers have to do, like Ric Flair had to do, and even Tommy Dreamer had to do afterwards. It's quite remarkable. Dynamite Kid was a good episode. Becoming Warrior was a bad episode in my opinion. I thought the A&E, was it A&E?
The A&E documentary.
I think that was better in my opinion.
I prefer Dark Side because at least they discussed the more sinister side of the Ultimate Warrior.
And with WWE,
A&E completely glossed over him.
Yeah, with WWE, you have to remember they whitewashed the fuck out of motherfuckers.
Oh, absolutely. Too. I mean, how the fuck do you take a guy who said queering doesn't make the world go round and make him an icon for Pride Month?
Exactly.
They did that.
Yeah, they did.
And they fucking hired Dana Warrior too. I think she still works for him too. Come to think of it.
The Brian Pillman episode was good, but the ultra violence of Nick Gage I found fascinating because that was my first real introduction into deathmatch wrestling.
That was the low point for me this entire season.
But as a documentary, I didn't mind it for what it is.
Here's my problem, Sam. Right, calling that wrestling is a real stretch at best.
Dude, you do realize you could be saving all this for next week, right? Because it's going to be deathmatch wrestling.
Yeah.
You do realize next week you could rant on this shit all you want. Because you guys,
I'm just saying I'm not a fan of deathmatch, but I got to know it through Dark Side, and I don't like it, but I was fascinated at the same time. That people.
I'm going to say something that you're going to be surprised by. I have a lot of respect now for Dave Arquette for doing it the proper way.
Yeah, me too, dude.
Yeah.
Me too.
I mean, he's nearly 50, and he's putting his body through that.
Yeah.
The Blood and Wire of Anita, that was good as well. There was some good. Like the one which really wrecked me the most was the Shadow Grizzly Smith. I mean, that was a very disturbing episode.
Oh god,
that was a really disturbing.
I think that was one of those where it's like I've only seen it once and I'm never going to see it again.
Yeah,
because that's how bad it fucked me up.
Yeah, it's like watching a car wreck, pretty much, and you're driving so by, you're like,
Yeah, you can't see, you can't unsee shit.
Exactly. There's not enough bleach.
Mm-hmm. That's the closest I think the wrestling is ever going to get to a Jimmy Savile incident.
I hope so.
For anyone in the UK who knows, well, I think anybody in the UK would get that reference, but that's the closest we're going to get to that.
Bill Cosby, baby.
No, not Bill Cosby. Bill wasn't known for being a paedophile. He was a rapist.
Yeah.
R. Kelly's the one you want to be talking about. He's the biggest one. We talked about him last time when we were off camera. Yeah. We went off on that motherfucker. Yeah.
Bikers, Bombs, and Bedlam was an interesting one. Almost a more comical one as well in a way.
Yeah, kind of funny.
Yeah, kind of funny at times. And we had another tragic one with the double life of Chris Kanyon. That was
our next two episodes are the final ones, which are XPW and the steroid trials.
Yep.
The steroid trials is going to be a good one.
I'm really hoping steroid trial opens up a can of worms for Vince McMahon after it's fucking aired. I really hope it does.
There's probably going to be at least one or two things that no one here knows, and then like we'll find out and we'll be like, I can't do this anymore.
I'm still quite surprised that this is only going to be a one-parter.
I know
the steroid trials episode.
This could be at least a 3-parter. They could really go there if they really wanted to.
Yeah, but you're going to have to be doing some serious digging in the graveyard for that one.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It's going to be.
How many people want to talk?
Yep.
Is a problem.
But it was one of the biggest scandals in the business. I mean, it nearly sent Vince McMahon to jail, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Shit, I know y'all cover What If. We could. Okay, I just came up with another fucking brilliant idea. A What If series would be good.
What if Vince McMahon went to jail?
Went to jail, yeah. What if Vince went to jail? What if, like, you could do a whole fucking can of worms?
You do know what his plan was if he went to jail, right?
Jerry Jarrett, he was going to take over. Yep.
Jerry Jarrett would have been running the WWF.
Yep. What happened if Hulk Hogan died after WrestleMania 3? Seriously.
I don't think that's a possibility. Because I think he was only like in his 20s when he was in WrestleMania.
No, but the point
Guess Booker has had some fantastic ideas. Like, for example, what if Hall and Nash went to ECW?
Yeah, instead of WCW.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. What if? I'm going to save that one.
Okay.
What if? Yeah. What if Jerry Jarrett took over WCW was another one.
Yep.
What if? Oh God. Who the hell was it? Gabe Sapolsky. What if Gabe Sapolsky booked ECW's relaunch in 2006?
That was a really, really good one, actually.
What if Vince McMahon gave in to all of Ultimate Warrior's demands?
Okay.
Vince would probably still be trying to recoup some of that shit back.
After spending $1 million in 1996 to buy Ultimate Warrior's comic book.
Distributed, motherfucker.
What if we got two here? What if Bret Hart beat Yokozuna at WrestleMania 9? And what if Yokozuna beat Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 9? That would have been a great ending.
You could have just had Yokozuna beat Bret Hart, screw Bret Hart out of the title. You didn't have to have.
Here's what I would have done
afterwards.
Here's what I would have done, and everybody will agree with. What I would have done: Bret loses to fucking Yoko, and then Hogan comes out. Hey, let's fight. Yoko just kicks him and flattens him with a banzai drop. It goes off the air. That's how you end that shit.
Just remove Hogan from the equation entirely. You have Yoko still cheat Bret out of the belt. He refuses to give Bret the rematch. Bret wins the King of the Ring tournament. Yoko beats whoever, and then you have the rematch at SummerSlam.
And Bret gets it back. Yeah. Another what if we could do is like, what if, Shawn refused to drop it to Steve? Because that's a famous story.
I think we all know what would have happened. Undertaker would have just beat the fuck out of him.
He taped his fist. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what happened if Marty Jannetty never turned into a drug addict?
Yeah.
Actually, that's what it's.
What if Owen Hart lived? Oh my god!
What if Owen Hart was heavyweight champion?
Do you guys watch Hannibal at all?
Hannibal?
Slow Devon
with Matt Mickelson.
No. It's this guy he's a wrestler.
That's Devin Nicholson.
You were in the WWE. What did you enjoy about your time there?
According to Wikipedia, it says here that you molested 3 goats on Kevin Sullivan's television program. How much did Kevin Sullivan pay you? And were the goats working goats?
So we got a question here from T.Y. William. What if Owen Hart was heavyweight champion? Do you think he'd still have to do that stupid blue meanie gimmick?
Blue blazer. No, fuck no.
No, because let me tell you what would have happened. Owen wouldn't have won the title in 99. 94 is when he would have won it. That would have been the time to put the title on him.
If you were going to put the belt on him in 99, you have him as a serious wrestler. You have him defending it against the likes of Ken Shamrock, against The Undertaker, against Steve Austin. You would not go with the blue blazer gimmick for that.
No, he would have never had blue blazer if he was heavyweight champion.
Marty Jannetty tells a story about Luna Vachon where apparently she and him get really high, and apparently this girl's blowing Marty and Luna licks this girl's private area.
Yeah.
Oh, they're having a threesome.
I know, because this lady doesn't expect it. Apparently. This is a story that might.
Well, look, I heard from from Jake the Snake Roberts. He was having the sort of parties he had. They had fucking donkeys and goats in it and stuff like that.
Oh, just some straight Caligula shit.
I think I was exaggerated, but it was kind of known as the Dog and Pony Show.
What if Austin didn't injure his neck?
He would have lasted till 2003, 2005, I think. He would have gone a couple years.
I can't watch that reverse pile driver. I just can't watch it.
You can't watch it?
I've seen it a couple of times. I'd rather.
This is weird. This is weird. I'm one of the few that could actually watch that pile driver spot and not cringe at it when I see it.
I cringe every time knowing how devastating it is. It's a bit like when Sid Justice broke his leg. I just couldn't watch it once.
Minus Sabu. I can't watch that one. The Sabu.
So was that your story about Slow Devon?
Yeah, that's the story that Marty Jannetty told on his podcast.
Yeah, but Marty Jannetty is an unreliable train wreck who has gone back and forward about whether or not he actually murdered someone.
Yeah, I remember that a couple of years ago. He talked about on Facebook that he killed somebody.
And then he denied it.
Yeah.
But then he said, no, I did it. Then he denied it again.
You trying to be O.J. Simpson?
I know.
If I was going to do it.
I wouldn't take anything Jannetty has to say with anything other than a huge pinch of salt. The guy is a train wreck. His mind is fucking gone. This is not somebody like, say, a Bill Irwin, where Devon took advantage of him and did this train wreck of an interview where the guy was clearly intoxicated. This is somebody where you shouldn't do the interview in the first goddamn place. Yeah,
Jannetty is one of those where his brain is literally mush from years of partying and shit.
A Bill Irwin, if we talked about that last week, the fact that Devon Nicholson Hannibal decided to have this interview with Bill Irwin when he was clearly intoxicated. When realistically, I think, guys, if we had scheduled an interview with somebody like a wrestling legend like a Bill Irwin, one, we would have done our fucking homework on him and what he did in the territories. It wouldn't just be questions about his run as the Goon in the WWF, for one. And two, if he showed up intoxicated, I think we would at least have the decency
just to say
cut the interview and say to him, look, we apologize. We are not going to broadcast this because it would be completely disrespectful, for one. Mm-hmm. We would like to reschedule at a time that would suit you when you be more lucid and more available. Otherwise, we're just not going to air this at all.
Yeah,
because what Devon did is said, "Fuck you, you fucking drug." That's literally what he said.
I mean, he's been known for taking advantage of guys. He's been known for booking legends and basically beating the fuck out of them, stiffing them in the ring, taking advantage to get himself over. He's been known for all this other shit that he's done online. I mean, there's the story about him and Selena De La Renta, which I don't know if you've heard it, but I would advise you go and look it up, where he got exceptionally creepy with Selena De La Renta, who should be, I'll be honest, Selena should be in the WWE or AEW as a top fucking manager. But Devon got extremely creepy about her. He bled all over her, and then
yuck.
Ew.
Yeah, bled all over her dress. Wow. Which she paid, quite a bit of money for.
So he's just being a straight dickhead.
Yeah, he is a dick. He's a massive fucking dick. He basically the only reason he gets these guys on is because he pays them.
Well, money talks. I mean,
yeah. Look, if we ever got to the stage where we decided we were going to get some money together and, contact a couple of wrestling legends and say, hey, we would love to interview you for the channel. Would you be prepared to do an interview for $500? Do an hour interview for $500 with us on this channel, and we could get somebody. Great. I think what would happen, at least from my perspective, I certainly would not do the whole fucking thing with Bill Irwin. I would not have aired that at all on this channel. And it would be a case of, look, we would do our homework. I would insist. I personally would insist everybody does their homework.
Yeah, everybody goes watch matches.
Obviously.
Everybody goes read.
Everybody goes watch matches. Everybody goes and reads what they can. You don't just do a whole fucking Devin Nicholson thing of like, well, it says in the Wrestling Observer on October 13th, 1952, that you ate the pussy out of Shawn Michaels, and that's why he refused to drop the belt to you. Is there any truth to that story?
Yeah, I wouldn't be bringing up controversial shit unless it was like warranted. That'd be me.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because the thing is if we ever go to do that, if I ever wanted to interview a wrestler I'd want to interview, I could probably not afford, because the wrestler I want to interview is Sting.
Yeah, Sting would be out of your price range, man.
Yeah, because
it
would be more likely out of your price range. But I mean, good God, there's a whole plethora of guys in the business I would love to hear stories from. Well, I mean, Jesus Christ, there used to be a radio station in Glasgow that had a wrestling show on, and do you know who they had on just about every week as a guest to tell old stories? Dennis Stamp.
Oh, I'm not booked.
Yeah. Dennis, I'm not booked Stamp.
I'll take Enzio Amore.
Enzo? Yeah.
But yeah, he had some fantastic stories he was telling. It was great listening to him.
Well, yeah, there are loads of wrestlers, like even fucking Virgil. I mean, you can get into like $10.
Everybody in the biz, everybody who has stepped foot and worked in any territory,
they would have
any
stories
major
for
promotion,
days.
They would have stories for days to tell you.
Yeah.
And depending on how you approach them, they would probably be, more than happy to tell them, especially if you appear to be willing to listen.
Yep.
Or you're eager to hear them. You're not just doing this for the promotion. If you're not just doing it, for your for your audience, it's you're genuinely interested in what this person has to say, and you genuinely want to hear it. Mm-hmm. It's not just a case of like, well, it says here on Wikipedia that in 1983 you sucked off,
Yeah, some kind of like stupid gossipy stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
That only like either insiders or people like us would know.
I mean, Jesus Christ! I would love to hear stories from Ivory about Glow.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I would love that.
Hey, Ivory, if you're interested, we'd love to have you.
Well, we have a question here,
yo,
fellas. So, which dead or alive wrestler you want to do a 2-hour interview with? Who it is or why? I'll go last so I can think about it. I'll start with you, Dixie.
Okay, with me, well, the thing is, Jake the Snake Roberts has been interviewed quite a bit, but I would have loved to have also talked to him just one-on-one, just to see his perspective, like on Grizzly Smith, his dad, talk about, how he overcame his addictions and things like that. I mean, yeah, it's oversaturated, but I'd just like to talk to the guy. Really.
Okay. Jose?
Raven.
That's a good one.
He'd be a good get, because I would talk to Raven about psychology. That would be like all my questions. I'd want to sit down with him. I don't know if I'd like interview, but like I'd be like, break down a match with us. Like that'd be my thing. I'd be like, I want you to break down a match and like for aspiring wrestlers and shit like that. Like that'd be cool. That's what I would like to do.
Boss man.
Do you know what? I just said Sting, but the guy I was most wanted to talk to would be. I was going to say Vader, but no. I wanted to be. Trying to think. Scott Steiner, because I know that because you know what, he's an interesting interview, and plus I get to the view because the guy's going to say whatever he wants.
And Shredder.
I have two answers for this. Guys who are dead, Bobby Heenan.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be a great one.
If I could talk to anyone, any personality involved in the wrestling business who is dead, Bobby Heenan. In all honesty, out of everyone alive in the wrestling business, I would love more than anything to talk to any of the women involved. I would love their perspective on the business. We've heard so many interviews regarding the guys. It's rare you ever hear an interview with any of the women.
That's what I'm saying. Ivory, we want to talk to you.
Now, I have a question for you.
Let me one second.
Well, we still need Zam's answer for this. Hang on.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry.
What was the name of that wrestler who did the Harvard gimmick? He actually
Chris Nowinski. He'd be a good get too.
Yeah, he's the one who's alive who I want. The one who's dead is Hawk from Legion of Doom.
The one who's oh yeah, okay. The one who's dead for me, the Macho Man, Randy Savage. I would love.
I thought like we've heard a lot from him though in whilst he was alive. Yeah, I mean, whilst Hawk has been a bit of an enigma in my opinion.
Yeah. Or Animal would be another one. Like I'd love to hear
Animal more though, but Animal a bit more because he was the steadier of the two. Yeah, but I would love to know about what Hawk went through during all his periods, collision and career as well. You know, he's got a massive story to tell, but his life fell apart. Before you go on your question, Dixie, we got something here from Ty William as well. My answer is Jim Cornette and Eddie Guerrero.
Those would be good gets too. Yeah.
Actually, probably Chris Benoit to find out, did you fucking do it, mate? You know what I mean?
I think it's obvious he did it.
Yeah, I guess, but just to be 100% sure. Yeah.
He did it, but his brain was mush.
Sensational Sherry and Lisa. Yeah. So what do you want to say, Dixie?
Okay, for me, for dead, it would be a guy. I don't know if you guys know who it is, but his name was Haystack Higgins.
Oh, Haystack Higgins. Oh, yeah.
My dad fought him in Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
Your dad was a wrestler.
Stepdad. No, my dad was not his wrestler. He was just fucking with him, throwing beer cans at him. Dude,
I have something to tell y'all that none of y'all ever knew in the entire time that I've known you guys. Here's something that I've never told you guys. My uncle, Junior William Jose, has actually fought Mike Tyson, and the match is on YouTube.
No,
Jesus Christ.
Yep.
Oh, shit.
He fought Mike Tyson.
Oh,
must have been a good payment.
Pre-post it or after post it?
Yeah, I'm going to post it when this is done so you guys can watch it.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Somebody had a question, though?
Yeah, you had a question for us, Dixie.
Yeah, you had a question.
No, I didn't have a question. I was just going to finish my story real quick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but what happened was Haystack Higgins was in a bar with a bunch of other wrestlers in Jacksonville, Florida, that they'd just done a show. And my dad decided in his drunken stupidity to go over there and fuck with him, namely by pinching him on the ass.
Oh no!
Haystack turned around and all his 6'3", 250-pound glory started hitting my dad.
Dude,
my dad took the punches like a hoss, managed to get around him and put him in a chokehold.
Shit.
In fact, the next week in the wrestling, I can't remember the promotion it was, but it was in Jacksonville, Florida. And showing on the TV, it showed Haystack Higgins with a neck brace on. My dad had choked him out.
Damn.
Yeah, that's my famous wrestler story, I guess. But yeah, that's what happened.
That is so cool. Your dad had had a fight with the guy, and it wasn't even actually a wrestling match.
Yeah,
it was a genuine fight. But it's amazing how many wrestlers have to deal in their everyday life with dickheads who come up to them. You know, I feel sorry for them. Like, you know, they're performers, they're artists. Yeah, and the last thing they need is stupid idiots fucking having to deal with them.
Well, the thing is also, this was the 60s, so nobody knew that kayfabe was a thing.
Yeah, because
they all thought it was real. So yeah, my dad decided to just, test him out, and yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, it's fake. You know that, right? Yeah, okay. You want to repeat that one more time?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Actually, the guy I want to talk to most, and again, I've seen this guy interviewed a couple of times, but he goes back, way back, is Finley.
Finley would be cool.
Oh, I'm sure he's got some stories.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, but even somebody, Christ, like George South would have some stories to tell.
Yeah. Bruno would probably be another dead get from me.
Jimmy Hart would be a good one.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm talking about guys who are still alive. I mean, George South, has been pretty much everywhere. You've got guys from the territory days. Dr. D. David Schultz is still alive.
Yep. Stu,
he's a bounty hunter now.
Stu would be probably. Stu would probably be my territory get though. If I was going to talk to somebody about territories and family, Stu Hart would be the guy that I'd talk to. I'd be curious to hear about the Harts and stuff like that.
But again, I would love to hear a proper interview with some women in the business. To be quite honest, because I don't know if you guys
Medusa would be a good one.
Maria Kanellis did a U-shoot, and unfortunately, there was some interesting questions there, but unfortunately, there was some stuff that basically just degenerated into, a bunch of like, what women in the locker room would you go muff diving on? Stuff like that.
Oh, okay, stupid shit.
Yeah.
Stupid shit.
Just dumb trollish stuff. I got
Yeah.
Yeah, because if it were me, I'd be sticking to.
I would love to, just stick to the facts. Like, what kind of stuff goes on with regard to the women, compared to the men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
how are the women treated differently compared to the men?
Do they, and I'd have questions like, do you get a big payday for, compensation, shit like that for being told that your shit's going to be cut kind of deal.
Ivory, for example, WrestleMania, what the hell was her payday for her match against China?
Yeah.
I think that China more or less like manhandled her. Well, woman handled her, but
yeah, but that was the story that needed to be told because China going into it had that storyline neck injury, so it made sense why they did it the way they did it. But still, that would be a curious question to ask about, like, what was your payday like going into WrestleMania and shit like that?
Yeah, I'm a huge Ivory fan in more than ways of one. So
yeah.
Well, also, a lot of the paydays that people that have like matches and stuff like that, like big ones like WrestleMania, for instance, aren't really as big as you'd think.
Nah.
But again, that's what I'd love to hear. Because I know, for example, Jim Cornette got paid something like $5,000 for his appearance at the WrestleMania Battle Royal.
Yep.
What did Ivory get for a marquee match?
Yeah, because most guys, when you really stop to think about it, during that time, I think the most they were making was maybe $650, maybe $700. If you're a top guy.
Yeah. What the hell was Ivory making when she was the top heel in the women's division?
Makes you wonder.
As the champion at the time.
Oh, they were giving her scraps at best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because let me see. I think during that time, if you were a woman, you were lucky to maybe make $200K, maybe $300 if you were high enough on the card, depending on what you were.
But again, I've got so many questions about that aspect of the business. What the women have gone through compared to the men, especially when the women were majority higher for their physical appearance.
I'd like to know more
of them who were not hired for in-ring skill.
Yeah, because I wouldn't really talk about like in-ring. I'd be like, what were like the day-to-day operations like? Like that'd be the kind of stuff I'd be curious about.
I would especially love to, have her talk about the time where apparently she represented the Divas in Wrestlers Court.
Mm-hmm.
Molly Holly is a good interview too. She was in WCW, WWF at her wrestling career. Molly's stories about her wrestling career. And she was a really good wrestler as well.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is, like a lot of these women,
how the fuck did they took the fact that in real life Molly Holly was a virgin because she was a devout Christian,
and they made fun of her for that. I remember that shit.
She was made a heel for that.
Yep.
Yeah, well, they made fucking Daniel Bryan a heel for being a vegan. So anything's possible.
Yeah.
Or make CM Punk a heel for being clean living.
Then they made the championship carbon neutral because it was all like Fabian.
I just cannot believe the one thing that they did to Molly Holly, which still pisses me off to this day, is when they had the King. Openly ask her on commentary, "Molly, are you a virgin?" And there was dead silence for like 10 seconds, no shit. And you were like, "Did he really just ask her that question?"
Yeah, that was uncomfortable. Incredibly uncomfortable. But then again, I could say that about a lot of Lawler's commentary especially when you look back on some of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus, the fact that they even showed it in this episode of Dark Side of the Ring with Luna. They showed the Sable segment. They were showing Lawler with a copy of her Playboy magazine. It's like, shut up, JR, I'm reading.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, Lawler, that would be a dark side of the ring in and of itself, kind of.
I mean, like the sorry you said the word puppies. In relation to Deborah, because she had quite massive disagreements back in the day. The way you do about Sable, the way he would do it about who else? Terry Reynolds and maybe people like that.
Yeah. Molly Holly agreed to shave her head at WrestleMania. Yeah, it was actually her idea, man. A lot of people don't know that. She wanted that to happen.
Again, there's a part of that commentary I got really uncomfortable with going back and listen, because I occasionally rewatch some of the old WrestleManias, and I rewatched WrestleMania 20 fairly recently, and part of the commentary, Lawler said, "Is it just her head that needs to get shaved?"
He said that?
Oh my god!
How the fuck did I not pick up on this?
Yeah.
He said that?
Yeah.
Dude, fuck Jerry Lawler. That just needs to be said right now.
But I want to ask the question, DLT, and this is not a...
Oh, shoot. Yeah, shoot.
How much do you reckon that was him? How much do you reckon that was Vince McMahon saying, "See this, my God, see this"?
Jerry Lawler, I think, had... Actually, here's the thing. Jerry, I believe, had leeway to say whatever the fuck he wanted, because if y'all don't remember the time that he and the cat fucking left the WWF in 2001, Lawler openly, he said, "Fuck this, I'm out. You're going to mistreat my wife this way," and he left. Lawler's one of those that could actually say whatever the fuck he wanted.
You could just tell. You could just tell what he was saying was off the fly.
Yeah, you know he was not scripted.
Yeah, some of that stuff was pure wit.
Yeah,
and it's funny way. I almost admire him.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's kind of a bit creepy at the same time.
Vince didn't overproduce like he does now. Back in 2001, 99, 98, he didn't overproduce anybody. He was just like, y'all are going to say what the fuck you got to say. And now in today's world, Lawler would not last in 2021.
But he's a bit like The Undertaker in a way. He's already so established of doing what he was doing that they can keep that going with him. They wouldn't change him for the world.
Yeah.
Anybody new who comes in on the scene, they
micromanage him to no fucking end now.
You the way they want you to. Like Zack Ryder being the prime example. Like, here's a guy who tried to get himself over and they punished him for it. So,
if Lawler was to ever return to commentary, I give it maybe a week and he's gone.
Yeah, time.
He would say something inappropriate and he would basically take him off the air.
Lawler's a creep. Also, Vince McMahon is afraid. I believe you on that last part where Vince McMahon is afraid of him, because Lawler actually, I think, wanted to fight Vince during that controversy with the cat back then.
But if you recall, Joey Styles effectively lost his career because of one joke he told on commentary.
Yeah, let me see. He said something about Donald and Melania Trump, and then I think never heard.
What happened? It was what was the name of the promotion? It was Gabe Sapolsky's one. Was it Dragon Gate?
Yeah, Dragon Gate.
Dragon Gate USA. Stokely Hathaway was the heel commentator.
Mm-hmm.
And the ring announcer, I can't remember what the heck her name was, but Joey Styles had been told, "Don't mention Donald Trump in the election," because it just happened.
It was a hot button, yeah.
Yeah, it was a hot button issue. Now, Stokely Hathaway had apparently said something, and Joey Styles then commented about the ring announcer and says, "By the way, you're looking as lovely as ever tonight. I'm sure our new president would like to grab you by the..." And speaking of that word I didn't say, I'd like to introduce my co-host this evening, Stokely Hathaway.
Oh yeah, I do remember that when he said that shit.
Yeah.
And Joey Styles,
that's what he got fired for, and basically ended his career.
Yep, he was never heard from after that. You don't even hear from him now.
No.
Years later, it's been like 5 years since he said that shit, and yeah, he never recovered after that.
His career's over.
Yep.
Jerry Lawler's got dirt on the McMahon family. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, Lawler. Yeah. I think Lawler was one of those like Pat Patterson, almost kind of attached to him in a way.
Although, in fairness, there's a lot of dirt on Lawler in the past as well. I mean, who was it on Memphis TV that said Jerry Lawler raped a 14-year-old girl?
Yeah, Doug Gilbert. I remember hearing that shit when he said that. Doug Gilbert said that, and then they were like, "Oh shit, okay, we can't go there. We can't say that."
Yeah.
Yep.
And you got Brian Christopher as well, which I just like dying before your kids is always a fucked up thing, and God knows where that's put him in his life. You know what I mean? But anyway, listen, guys, it's been over 2 hours. And
yeah, we should probably wrap this up.
It's been great. I would love to talk more about this. It's been a fantastic episode.
I would absolutely say go watch this episode of Dark Side of the Ring. In particular, listen to the eulogy of Luna at the end by Mick Foley. It's one of the most beautiful things you will ever hear.
I wish we talked more about that.
Yeah.
If people haven't seen it, I'm just going to post it in the comment section. It's on Daily Motion right now.
Yep. Download that shit if you can do that,
there
guys.
it is.
Yeah, but as I said, listen to the eulogy of Luna from Mick Foley. It is one of the most beautiful things you will hear.
Okay, one more to go. Sonny got dirt
Yeah,
on WWE. That's why she's in the Hall of Fame. Sonny is that chick that will blackmail you and air your dirt to the world.
but the thing is, like, some of this dirt is, unless she's got something recorded, it's just verbal, and you can make up anything in that particular. Yeah, but people just say she just made shit up. And I wouldn't be surprised about it. Because Vince McMahon had an affair with Tori Wilson or Sable or something. Wow. It wouldn't shock me at all.
I more so think Sonny's in the Hall of Fame because of Shawn Michaels. That's just my personal take on it. They put them in the same fucking Hall of Fame class together.
She sold her ring.
Yep.
For how much?
Not that much.
About 50 grand? Was it? I heard of.
Yeah. I think she got paid for doing the poll that she did more than she got paid for the ring.
Yeah, that's what she does now. She does like OnlyFans and basically strips on the camera and stuff like that. If she makes money out of it, good luck to her.
It's sad because she was back in the day smoking hot, and she is kind of hot now. She's just a little bit more larger.
Yeah, but regardless of that, I mean, like, if she's still making money, doing all of that, then good luck to her. But she doesn't come across as in my opinion, she doesn't come across as the most nicest person. There's something quite sinister about her, So that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah,
after watching Medusa, she comes across as great. She really does.
Yeah, there's a lot of some of the older women who come across as really genuinely nice people. Medusa, Terry Runnels, Ivory.
Ivory comes across really good. I've seen some of her interviews. She's awesome. The last time I remember Ivory was it Right to Censor?
Yep.
Was she in that? Mm-hmm. That's the last time I can. That's the last time I remember.
That was her last run as women's champion.
But yeah. So by the way, so here is the latest. If you guys haven't seen it, the latest version of the latest episode of Dark Side of the Ring. So please watch it. Then watch this review from the very beginning. Our mass debate from the very beginning.
Our longest episode yet.
Yeah, it's amazing because I personally didn't find this episode too fascinating, but we've been talking for over 2 hours. So I guess with 5 of us as well, that would definitely add to the time as well.
Well, then we had a lot more to discuss, things like Slow Devon.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, I'm not sure if you guys are interested, but tomorrow is DC Fandom. Floats your boat, anyone?
Unfortunately, I'll be working all day.
Let's see here. DC. Yeah, I know, right?
It's going to be on YouTube at some point, and they're going to be basically doing lots of extended trailers of all their stuff. So the new Batman's going to probably get a trailer. Black Adam's going to get a trailer probably. The Flash is going to get a trailer, and the video games as well, and television shows, and all that sort of shit.
Gotham Knight is the only one I give a fuck about out of all their video games.
No, I don't give a fuck about Gotham Knight. You know
what's wrong with you?
No, I'll tell you why. Because
don't make me come down there.
Let me explain. I'll give you my explanation.
Okay.
Gotham Knight has got 4 characters in it, but you can only play 2-player. You can't play 4-player co-op.
That's fucking stupid.
Yeah. Whilst Suicide Squad has got 4 players in it, and you can play 4-player co-op. And so I'm more interested in Suicide Squad than Gotham Knights. If Gotham Knights had the 4-player co-op, I'd be all up that. But unfortunately, it doesn't. So that's really a massive downer for me.
You want to know what would be really fucked up? What would be really fucked up is if they made it local only. That would really suck.
Of course, but I doubt in this day and age that would happen, Yeah. But I'm also honestly, I'm done with Gotham. The good thing about Suicide Squad is set in Metropolis. It's a whole different city, different characters as well. I'm done with Gotham, man. I'm done with all that Dark Knight, Batman bullshit.
As long as I could beat the fuck out of Superman, that's all I care about.
Well, you could do that in Suicide Squad.
Pretentious prick.
Superman.
Yeah, right?
Well, he's been taken over by Brainiac, so he's a bad guy.
Only thing I could say about Superman is at least they got it right in the comics that they took their time killing him, and then in the fucking DC universe they killed him in 2 movies. 2.
Have you seen Injustice, by the way, the movie?
No, I haven't.
It's on various sites and stuff like that, but it's on HBO Max.
Oh, okay.
Basically, they've made a film of the video game. where Superman turns dark because what the Joker does to him. You've seen the video game, haven't you? The storyline from the video game.
Mm-hmm.
So basically the Joker puts the Scarecrow fear toxin in him mixed with kryptonite, and it hallucinates Superman into believing that his wife Lois Lane is Clayface or Doomsday, and then she's pregnant with his fucking son, and he ends up beating the shit out of Lois Lane. Killing.
Is also triggered to a nuclear. Also triggered to a nuclear weapon in the middle of Metropolis.
Oh, get the fuck out of here! All right.
And so I've seen Squid Game, by the way, absolutely fantastic.
I don't even know what the fuck that is. I'm so old. I don't know.
You got to watch. It's on Netflix, but it's on Netflix. Watch it. But
dude, I'm about to. Dude, once we hop off here, I'm watching Halloween Kills on Peacock. That shit better be fucking good. By the way. I already know Michael Myers is not going to die because they never fucking kill Michael in these movies.
Well, even when they do, they somehow make a reason why he comes back again.
Yeah, he'll be back.
If regarding Injustice, it's very good. Like with Superman, basically because he ends up killing Lois Lane, being tricked, he kills the Joker. He actually kills him. Yeah, and then he goes all dark. Like he doesn't want to be the bad guy, but he's now ruling the whole planet with an iron fist, and he stops all the wars by basically telling everyone who's fighting, "I'll fucking kill you all if you don't stop fighting." You know what I mean?
It's a bit like a darker version of the Justice League animated series, where and they did the Justice Lords.
Lords,
Superman killed, where Lex Luthor has killed the Flash. So, in response, Superman kills Lex Luthor.
Okay, good. Yeah, because now I got a little respect for Superman if he's going to the dark side, because I cannot fucking stand Superman. The fact
it also splits up the Justice League as well, because it's like Justice League Unlimited. You got all of these members, and some of them are on Batman's side who believe that Superman's gone too far, and a lot of them are on Superman's side who think, about fucking time, Superman, that we start ruling this shit with an iron fist. So it's interesting to see where they go with this, and it's an okay film. I do recommend it. And regarding Squid Game, please watch this. If you got Netflix, watch this fucking
I don't even
show.
know what the fuck that is.
It's a Korean series, and it's very popular. 9 episodes. You can watch it.
Porn.
You can watch it. You can watch it in English dub. You can watch it in English dub, or you can watch it in Korean with subtitles. It's your choice.
I watched it. Squid Games is. I just think, okay, well, it's from Korea or wherever the fuck it is.
Koreans are doing all the good shit at the moment.
It's tentacle porn.
Have you seen the Train to Busan? That's probably the best zombie movie you'll ever watch. And they recently made the film Parasite that came out of Korea, and that won an Oscar.
Parasite's good.
So they know what they're doing. I mean, they make really good material, and I highly recommend Squid Game. I binged it in 2 days. It was excellent. Excellent, yeah. So anyway, Philip, but tomorrow at some point we're going to be coming live talking about DC fandom. So at some point, Jose, Bossman, Shredder, Dixie, if you want to join us for that, I recommend watching snippets of it. We're going to talk about what we enjoyed about it the most, and that's going to be tomorrow, as well as we're going to be doing other shit as well, fan film reactions.
Go drink some water. Your voice is about to give out on you, man.
Yeah, I know.
Go get some water, dude.
I will once this is done, but that's
all right. Everybody,
happening.
Bye.
So we'll catch you guys later. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to NerdTube, the greatest YouTube channel you never fucking heard of, and we'll see you cunts later. Bye bye.
Peace.